quick view of the map, and it is headed towards, at least somewhat towards the eastern side. So we're going to continue to move on and take a look at the rest of this map as we're continuing to hunt our prey. But we're going to move around and see what's going on. A couple things I noticed, those that are Cloud9 fans with Jowo Squad, it seemed like they headed more centrally located than usual. They are not on that side of the map. So instead, they're going to be landing over towards Old Town, Low Town area and moving down to the south. But we move over to Pentagon, who's apparently found some prey of his own, especially with Fuzzin up on high ground. This is a nice pinch they're setting up.
Yeah, it really is, right? And this is one of those squads that has been landing down towards this area for the dawn time, but Ericsson already down on the ground. Nano drops down, tries to recover, and maybe put some pressure on. I hear the buyback, and now Pentagon, Fuzz, and Melvin swarming in, looking for Nano, and that will likely be a cleanup for Wars. Louis CM, Bubble CT, a massive squad, and, well, I know the dust didn't touch on this, and this one's for you, Wars. You're washed.
What?
Hey, we had a conversation about this. I'm only allowed to say it once.
Dang, said he's washed. Worst performs on land. I don't know about that. We'll see.
No, it's all part of the ritual. You just gotta let it happen.
The reverse Cassigress. Here's a quick look at our map, by the way. As expected, to the eastern side, to maybe farms we go, to the south side of military. Oftentimes see these circles end up somewhere near Superstore. Welcome back to the map, by the way, Superstore. We'd love to have you around these parts since for dance. But we take a look at it and look at a couple of these squads. Number one is the one I want to highlight in the red on the right-hand side. That is Omit EU. This is Ankyo, Grom, Heat. This is one of those teams that a lot of folks on Twitter were saying this is one of the best squads here. We expect them to be top 5. And as expected, they are playing for end of game already. They are prepared and waiting for their prey. That does likely mean they have a very low amount of kills, though.
That's very true. But when you start looking at circles initially like this, start thinking of military base, because a lot of those teams, they're going to rotate in from the north and look to clean that all out. Specifically, Dongi, right? Getting another squad wipe, sending more people straight to that gulag. But we have to think about that initial public event, the fire sale that occurs at the top of every Circle 3. A lot of teams will look to get a lot more hyper aggro in that moment, and especially a team that's already got a few eliminations and not afraid to fight. This one on your screen, Team Community.
Look, at the end of the day, any team that has a great start usually has a great finish in a game like this. And so because this team was able to win high res, they're able to rotate over here to Opera. They could keep looking for kills. They know what they can do from a kill and slaying potential. The question is, can they get their multipliers? This is a really good team. Up until the last couple weeks or so, everybody said that's team number 2. And now maybe falling into the top 5, top 10, but I still believe them to be one of the best teams here. But to Silo we go. And I'm going to be honest, it's good to see flanked on LAN again, this time with Gabe and Blast. And this Gabe, Kuhn, if you don't know Gabe, this is one of those players, some rumors out there of a Rookie of the Year. I know those questions are in the air. Gabe
wrong.
is very, very talented. The question is, how long will his leash be? And apparently not all that long. Grabs an ATV, is going to go catch up with his team.
Well, he's one of those players that has been talking a lot about how he wants to be the next up, the very best that has ever touched Warzone, and he's definitely on that right path. But when you think about Bazaar in general, this fight has been occurring every single time. But the fact that we're 7 minutes into this game and we are still getting Mixie at Bazaar, I mean, it makes sense considering where the circle is pulling, but now it's just getting personal.
Look, I gotta say, if you're not tuned into the Twitter beef between these two teams that land Bazaar, you should tap in. It is egregious at this point. And frankly, the team on your screen right now has lost most of those encounters up until recently, and apparently recency bias pays off in kind, because Bazaar is theirs right now. And look at this Omit NA squad, a ridiculously aggressive rotation. As a reminder, folks, this Omit NA squad with Brax, a top 10 team in my opinion, a very strong team, frankly probably a really good team on LAN. They start in the northwestern side of the map, and they've rotated all the way to Bazaar already here in our second circle.
Well, Volcom opens it up, knocks Juju, gets the full. Braxton comes in with the trade, but Panda on the inside gets absolutely laid out. In with a steel chair we go. But look at Resolve coming on back. This one's going to be bloody, and Panda's pretty much going to have to win that gulag because the reset is going to be on the hands of Resolve. But I'm surprised to see Omit NA kind of folding like that.
Yeah, they had a great setup, and I think they just got a hair too over-aggressive. Didn't have the third there to play trades. Resolve's able to get to the buy station, get his teammates right back into the mix. Brax and his team with Omit NA need to win their gulags and get back for free. And then again, this fight will continue. And well, look at the kill feed. Brax does not win, which means now they are player down. It is just Youngsters on main stage for the first time for World Series of Warzone, but a long-storied player. I'm excited to watch Youngsters all day today. But to the Falcons we go, because the question is, where are they? How much money do they have? And how many kills have they found in Popoff? And right now, they're continuing to ward off any aggressive moves.
Do you know how many times I've watched the Falcons loot Popoff Power? They walk out with $50,000, a backpack full ready to just get mixy. But this squad, I love to take the redeploy and get out of there, but they're just a hair south of where the Falcons are inevitably going to push across. They were back there towards that bridge with a mobile buy station to be able to acquire, whether it's more bunker busters, UAV, whatever is going to get them towards that next zone. And you already think if you're getting pressured from different angles here, we just need to get inside, stabilize, and figure out our next move.
Well, they had a chance to talk to Na'Vi not too long ago, and well, Na'Vi is nowhere to be found. They are running away from this fight. I think a player down, and as per the usual, folks, in the private matches like this, you're not 1v3ing very often. And 2v3s, even those are very difficult to win. So if you're in a true 3v3, sure, we're going to see some fun fights. But if you lose one, it's the signal flare for the team in the opposition to come flying at you, whereas your team usually tries to run away. This time, the runners were able to get away as we get some loot. Now, okay, this is a great call from you earlier, Tiff. This is our third circle. We're gonna have some fire cells active. We're gonna have a ton of UAVs in the air. We're gonna have a lot of info. This is a great time for a lot of folks to get into the mix and find some kills.
It's true. I mean, a lot of people are going to be running Ghost as their perks, and so you'll start seeing things like that. But Nano in the distance flank, maybe they want to get hyper aggro. It's that time to kind of let it all fly. But we got a chance to talk to Sage, Adrian, Swag just yesterday, and they were locked in, ready. And even honestly, though, did you see Swag's post? He's like, look, I know I'm going to go play for $1 million, but it feels like I already won.
All right, FaZe. I'm excited to see them because at the end of the day, FaZe didn't get a lot of talk at the beginning of the show, and I think they deserve a little bit more. I do believe we have an interview with maybe the first team out. Uh-oh.
Gooey, first team to be eliminated here in the first map. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Right on, brother, as you should. Anything that went wrong, what's going to go right next time?
Very bad contract spawns, and compared to where we usually land, it was a pretty far flight. So.
Well, mate, you'll get them next time. And just to remind you of that, we have a small medal for you that says, better luck next time. Hopefully this is a good luck charm for you in the next one, man. Good luck. Back to the casters.
Wow, that is brutal, Miles. All right, better luck next time. I will give them some credit, though. Team North, first team out. However, they were top 10 every game besides game 1 in the regional finals. So maybe they're just going to repeat history and get top 10. Here's a quick look at our next circle, folks. We're going to see this close in. Now, again, with this circle, all eyes on Team 1 in the red. That is Omit EU, Tiff, and they are just waiting for anybody to come their way.
They really are, but keep your eyes on that 5. The Falcons right there as well. They're kind of starting that. Now, their matter of plan is to make sure that they clear out one side of this circle. So I think Omit EU moving in this early on, I'm hoping that they did it with enough cash and resources to be able to maintain it. Because, yes, you can take a god tier position, but if you take it at the wrong time, it really doesn't pan out well for you.
Well, as per the usual, a couple different modalities here for some of our teams. Hunting the edge of zone, especially if maybe you're a western side team, it's probably going to be the name of the game, looking for a lot of kills. Almond on 3, by the way, and I know we talked a lot about this team, but the fact that we have all members of TBE here, all split up on different teams or coaching, they're still here. They always make their way to land, no matter what it takes. We move on to another fight as Gabe and Blast have gotten into the mix again with Na'Vi, and this time I guess it looks like Na'Vi might have a little bit of a boon on their side with a player advantage.
I don't know. Blast on 5, Gabe on 4. It's getting aggressive. Zeppa, they said they boot camped for 3 weeks, and I'm ready to see it pay off. But we do love a third party, because if it's not a third party, it's not Call of Duty at this rate. And flanked in Gabe. Gabe in the gulag and flanked just trying to get away.
Yeah, it's a great third party there from, I believe, Vision Squad that came in and said, yeah, we'll take a piece of this pie and then move on our merry way. Again, a long way to go. Reminder, we took a look at the circle. It is headed towards the east. It is likely headed towards farms. This is military base still, so this is where this team drops. They've been fighting here since the very beginning of the game. As we're moving into 4th circle, they've got to get a move on. They've got to get some resources. Take a look at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen really quick. They have $1,300 to their name and probably not a lot of plates to go around. Hardly a gun to go around. This is going to be a brutal regain for this team. We are slowly but surely creeping into some multipliers as we are into the top 30 teams, which would be a 1.2.
Yeah, and that's going to be very vital here. You want to make your kills do all the work for you. A lot of teams will hit that average of 1.6, 1.8, but a top 5 will be incredibly vital. And if you look, we do already already have some teams that are starting to make that work. We didn't really even get to talk too much about Team Echo because we haven't seen them just yet on the screen. And I would love to check in with them, right? Look, I've played tournaments with Echo. Dandro and I both have, and we've really found success. And honestly, if I say that he found success, he definitely carried me, and I can imagine he's going to do crazy stuff here.
Let's take a look at the Falcons. They found a nest up here at Academy. This is a fun spot for them. I watched them win a tournament here once they already got to match point. So let's see what Ahsoka can do. Not a crazy amount of eliminations yet. You got to remember, though, of this team, all three can be Slayers, just given whatever game they end up playing. I think it was Biffle who is easily the lowest amount of kills during regional finals, but in recent tourneys, Biffle's been turning on the heat. So we'll see what they do. It looks like they've got about 9 or so across the board with a multiplier coming through. So about to find some double digits here shortly, but smartly not giving away a very strong position, holding several teams rotating in.
Well, hear me out. Shifty in a bush, just peeking. I want to listen in with them. Let's hear what the Falcons have to say.
You break it? No, I popped the tire, though.
Off another one. I mean, that should be low shit.
Gotta take the balloon. He's about back. Kid on the street, too. Kid on the street, kid on the street.
Oh, left.
They're fighting.
Zip.
It's like 6 kids, bro. I'm looking right window.
You see that zip? Shifty?
Kid right here, kid right here. In these bushes. Second set, 1 second set.
On his block? Right here. Got that low left.
Yo, left, swing. Watching. Gotta run at us. Absolutely, he's behind something.
They're
They already swung the low. They already swung the right.
Look your right.
I haven't looked right yet, D.
Over here.
Hey, we're smoking up on the right over here.
Yeah, they're in the little divot. They're in the close divot.
Sorry, one way to the
Look.
backside.
What about our left? What's our left looking like?
We should swing the hill, no?
Left, yeah.
We can even take the balloon. Nah, let's run.
Got clues out there.
Sorry for that team that was on our left.
You be up here. There's a kid
yeah,
up
yeah.
here. You can take the car. You gotta reprint.
Well, a peek behind the curtain of one of the greatest teams to grace Warzone. We'll see if they can beat the greatest after this one. They need to get a first-round win to set the tone for this tournament. Some great IGL calls. They pick up double digits, and they move on their merry way. And again, somehow, I'm going to quote Dandro here, for free? There's nobody looking at this side of the map because, well, there's the out-of-bounds line. They are headed to the very edge of this map and find the wildcard team in transition. A couple knocks from distance going to open up this playing field for them even more to run down. This looks like we're storming some sort of like Greek mythology moment here. This is wild. They're about to run down a hill with nobody in sight.
No, they're just frolicking around Urzikstan. It is literally their playground, and it's their world. We're just living in it. But that's just what they do. They clear out an entire side. But tell me we haven't seen this before, as we do see Team Aiden full squad wipe down to 17 kills. And honestly, that one on the overall standings, their first place, is running into some issues as also.
Okay, and again, as expected, we have headed to the far eastern side of this map as far as we can go and then some, right? And so if you know the Falcons, you know they want to find the win condition, and that means the win
wait a second
condition
here.
is the out-of-bounds line. They are playing for this around Team Rocket, Team Clapper. They are right around the corner. They need this full wipe ASAP so they don't have anyone breathing down their necks, and they can set up for what's coming. There's a lot of teams headed their way soon in the next couple circles.
My man is like absolutely dancing around right now. And if you're going to be finessing this side of things, how?
Oh, no.
Like, I mean, we are just trying
Find him.
to solidify and find all of the people, whether it's the thermites. This is where if you get like a one-sided smoke on these hills, you are just losing soul.
Yeah, Rocket finally gets cut down, but it actually goes inside of JTech and B-Mark. And now the Falcons lie in wait, and they know, hey, we're not technically a noob, but we're close enough to make a play. So we head over to another wildcard team who's having maybe a bit better of a game. Now, this is such a fun conversation because last year, I'm going to put it frankly, our wildcard teams, they didn't perform on land. This squad, though, is one of those teams that a lot of people expected to do well in regional finals. They get bumped to LCQ, they struggle, they win the wildcard game, and they go, well, we got to get in the lab, gentlemen. And finally, the last week or so, everything has started to click. They get a top 5 position in a recent tune-up tourney, and they're looking really strong right now. Take a look at the top middle of our screen. We blink, and we only have 10 squads left, folks. We are into a big multiplier here. 1.6 is kind of the minimum that you want. You got a decent amount of kills. This is a great game for this Nick Cool Colony 2K squad.
It really is, but unfortunately, you've got to get through this rotation. And when you're looking down the barrels at so many squads, even that Omid EU, yes, I was talking about that position they were in, but when they lose off that and they have to hit a rotation, investing a mortar to try and cause a bit of chaos to allow them to get on in. But keep an eye, Colony 2K, it's firing season. He isn't going to be able to get in on this.
Omit EU lying in wait, maybe waited
Wait.
too long.
Wait.
With some help. Finds a way in, barely, and a teammate's still alive. Omit EU is still in this thing, and they are about to secure a 1.8 multiplier. This is a key moment for all of our teams right now. 6 squads remaining. Everybody wants the 1.8. This is massive. He's get cut down. We've got Enkyo down below. We've made it to top 5. 1.8 multiplier is in play.
Omit NA down, Enkyo on the ground, finished there by Soka. The Falcons, they wanted to come in and cement that dynasty by opening things up with a solid performance here in match number 1, and they own all of the space on the map. FIFA kill over there in the distance, but this big fight here between JTech, BMark, Slide, this will determine it all. The final 3, but JTech, he drops Soka. Shifty, you better answer back for that one.
You know what Slide, BMark, and JTech's name is? Revenge Tour, and they're on it. Shifty is in his bag, and he's finding some success in it. FIFA comes in, plays the third party perfectly to pick up a couple kills in rotation. FIFA still a solo, so we've got a 1v1, v2. The Revenge Tour has the chance to win it all here. The question is, will the third party be the difference maker? We just have to wait and see.
And you remember that interview with the Falcons? I think FIFA would be like, and I took that personally, but BMark still gonna catch it from the back, and we have a 2v1. We just gotta locate Shifty.
Slide goes too aggro, but comes in, BMark! Revenge Tour is here. The Falcons fall in second with a massive game. But Revenge Tour says we're here to enact revenge. There is nobody cheering our name, and we are here to prove ourselves on land by winning the first map of the day.
Sometimes when you know that you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, because leading up to the World Series of Warzone, everyone talks about the Falcons. Even the desk was saying it. But you know what? Sometimes even gods can bleed. Like they said, chinks in the armor. But a 1.8 is still a crazy start considering how many eliminations they probably walked away with. But a 2x, even better.
You got to remember about this team, too. They land like the very top left portion of the map. They had a crazy rotation, and because of it, they set themselves up with success by rotating early. That's what gave them this win. They got there when they needed it most, and then they won the 2v1. There is one thing to say about teams like this, Tiff. It's that when they know they have advantages and they actually push it, they play with confidence. Taking down arguably the best player in the game right now, 2v1, is still difficult, but having the confidence to know we will win that gunfight every single day of the week. Very well done for Revenge Tour.
Oh, look, I would be like losing my absolute mind on stage knowing that you just did that in game number 1, that litmus test that you were talking about, which means as we kind of look through this last stand, I think it paints that great picture. And shout out to Heeds there for taking my caster curse and just saying, eat it, bro. Like, I'm still getting out of here. Sure, we got a better multiplier and some more eliminations to go along with it, but it was that early rotation here out of Nickel and Colony 2K under the guise of the smokes to really allow them to try and find any of those eliminations while teams were later on that rotate.
Yeah, again, this wildcard team did a fantastic job to get here with a ton of eliminations as well. I'm really curious to know how many kills our Omit EU squad did find, because they did make it to 1.8 times multi, and a lot of folks think they are the number 2 to top 5 team here. But a final look at this fight, Hisoka, they had win condition, they had a great position. The problem is they lose one in this transition. Watch this move. When you lose Hisoka here, all of a sudden you're in trouble, and it's because Revenge Tour brought the LTV up. That allows BMark to take an off angle. It allows Slide to hide behind the vehicle and use it for cover. And then FIFA comes in and plays spoiler. It's the perfect third party from a storied Warzone professional at FIFA kill.
Yeah, and if I'm Revenge Tour, I know where that solo is. We've already accounted for them. And what I want to happen is to allow them to put extra firepower on, but to grab the LTV, to take that challenge, and then know that BMark has your back. It's like that diversion, and it was so executed well that, I mean, look, 2x multi, however many eliminations they've got, but I heard we've got some people to talk to, and I want to hear from the Revenge Tour themselves. Miles, what you got for BMark?
The moment we saw the highlights, man, congratulations on that first map win. How you feeling after that?
Feeling great. I feel like that's the perfect start we could have. That's the best start we could have asked for. Like, honestly, the adrenaline's going. My heart's racing 1,000,000 miles a minute right now. You know, our IGL Slide over there put us in the best spot to win the game early. We know this World Series is going to play way different than any other tournament, any other scrim. We're kind of chalking early kills a little bit and playing for endgame, and we know there's going to be a lot of freebies in the endgame.
You got the freebies, man. We saw the last play there with the LTV, dude, crushing it. Obviously, you said things are going to plan so far. I mean, where do you go from here? Do you still keep the aggression up? You still trying to maintain points, or do you want to sort of cruise a little bit?
You know, I talked to my teammates before, and we talked about consistency. Consistency is going to be key all weekend, today, tomorrow. We just want to make it to endgame every game and try to keep that average placement up.
Beautiful. You got a lot of fans here in the crowd. There was a lot of noise when that win went through. What do you want to say to these guys?
I just want to say thank you to all my supporters, all our supporters, all the players here. This turnout is amazing. It's a surreal experience. I can't believe it.
They do. Thank you so much, Beams. Good luck. We'll see you in game 2. Desk, take it away.
All right, game number 1 has concluded, and what a game it was. Not only because it gave us a little bit of EMEA, actually quite a bit of that, we have to say. Falcons were also showing themselves. FIFA, we had a lot of conversation about them. They finished up in top 3, and, well, this team of Revenge Tour, take it all. Let's start there, right, Danjo? Revenge Tour, we're talking B-Mark, JTech, Slide. How impactful is it for this trio specifically to win game number 1 in World Series of Warzone?
This is just the ultimate confidence boosters, what this really is, right? These are just 3 players who are coming together to really kind of showcase and shine. And I love, they kind of haven't really ever been respected, if I'm being honest with you. I just feel like they have to be able to keep up this consistency.
Sure.
But being able to win game number 1 in the global final, insane.
Well, let's actually go right back to you, Danjo, because early aggression is what we saw. We discussed maybe we see some slower moments. This game, nothing like that.
Yeah, Hardy's zone really just kind of comes together and forces a lot of these teams to eventually fight. We saw Falcons take that sort of power position over there at Academy, and just you watch them just basically have all of these kills funnel on into them. So many teams were able to do that. I was watching that kill feed, man, and it was just non-stop. I got a little intel saying scrims, players kind of figured out they can start kind of moving around the map maybe a little bit faster than they were used to.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm looking in particular at the EMEA squads that have done really well here, and the depth that comes on through. This is what I was talking about at the top of the show. Omit EU, I think we're going to see a lack of kills come on through, but I'm really a big fan of their early rotation. I'm a big fan of where they were putting themselves. They were unlucky with the zone pull, so I think that's a big part of why we might not see them that high up the leaderboard, but they're doing the right things so far. But of course, would be amiss to not talk about Team FIFA Kill, right?
Yes.
Jukis and Lennon, we see them there at the end, and they go big throughout that one. I said that they were coming into this with a plan, finally, and it looks like they have fixed the mistakes, that they had beforehand, and finally, Team Echo. They put a lot of kills early, and then their positioning onward from there was beautiful.
Revenge Tour, Slide, B-Mark, JTech, they take game number 1. I love the name. I like the interview from B-Mark. He's feeling confident. He's feeling good. A team that we didn't cover in Top of Show. There were so many greats to talk about. Well, we now need to start discussing them a bit more. Who knows where they're going to be on the leaderboard, but game number 1, it's got to make them feel good and feel confident. They weren't the only team, though, to do well, at least from the EMEA side. Who else should we be discussing?
Well, there were a lot of teams that we saw did pick up a lot of eliminations, and we were kind of talking about that, which teams fell off a little bit, but maybe, not get that placing. But I was looking at Team Echo, Prodigy, Oki, and of course, Echo, of course. But no, the one thing that amazes me about this squad, of course, we saw that Oki on land before previously had went through some surgeries, right? Prodigy right now, he actually has an injury now. So he has a thumb injury. So this team, I don't know what it is with Prodigy and Oki. They're always going against some type of adversity. So it's like, oh my goodness. The fact that Prodigy was picking up eliminations with an injury on his thumb, his thumb is huge.
I was like, dude, did somebody hit it with a hammer? What happened? He's like, I actually don't know. The man woke up and his thumb is just as big as can be. But hey, apparently it didn't affect him whatsoever. They played incredibly well. Echo was a team that we were constantly highlighting, and for good reason. We talked a lot about that aggression. We talked a lot about zones. It's actually going to heat map up and see where a lot of those fights ended up taking place. Dandro, I'll have you handle this.
Yeah, I mean, no surprise here. We're looking at that Old Town, Low Town area there in the middle. A lot of players liking to kind of want to be able to sit in there. And when we kind of saw that zone pull to the East Coast, right, it's no surprise to see that this area kind of saw a lot of teams get caught, and especially down there in City. This is something that we see kind of time over time as players have to move through. You kind of have to pick, what island am I about to try and play for, depending on where the zone is going, because you have to make these huge rotations across big open space, across open water, and you might get caught on that rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that Danjo brings up the water there, because you're going to see that essentially that northwestern island is pretty much dead, because people did not want to get caught on the wrong side of that river, knowing that the zone was was definitely not going to be up there. So they're rotating early. That's why you're seeing a lot of those kills in the middle of the map, because as Danjo points out, they're getting caught. But then also you're seeing a couple of teams try and hedge their bets about which island it would end up being on this eastern side, and you end up by the Abtal Academy, where of course it's going to be quiet until we get to our end stage, and then the Falcons and everyone else just lit it up.
Yeah, and that's really key, like, right, positioning. And as an even IGL player, we're really leaning on those players. Like, what should we do? What should we make the decisions? And we just heard B-Mark say it, right? We had a great player that told us, like, where we needed to go. But looking at that, getting set up early, I think it was 28, what was it, Zeppa? I think there was another team that actually got out of dodge, was able to get out of that action. So if you're a team that noticed, okay, there's a team set up early, how do we rotate? How do we finesse? It's just those in-game moments that really matter. That's going to make a team shine here today.
Well, let's talk about a team that did shine outside of Revenge Tour, who took game number 1, our second place team, which was Team Falcons, okay? We get that nice open zone, but let's take a step back in time. Before that moment, Dandro, Falcons are set up quite nicely. I ask you the question as we're watching the game, are they set up and trying to implement the gatekeeping strategy? Were they blessed by zones, or did they appropriately set up to obviously have that great in-game? Talk to me about their mid-game, their start, and how they finished.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a basically bread and butter Hisoka big brain call on that zone is what that is, right? When you start seeing it pull to that eastern side of the map, you know that Academy is going to be this great place to go ahead and set up, because when they're sitting there, they understand a lot of these other teams are going to have to push upwards towards them. We saw they're kind of just set up on some rooftops, on some low ground. They're able to use some loadouts that are there as kind of a heady, and you just catch all these teams who are trying to just grab space. And when you have that squad just denying so much area and rotation, you basically force all of those other teams to go underneath, and we just watched squads fall one by one as that happened. It was a great position. Before we went over to them, they were nowhere on that leaderboard.
That's right.
After that sort of zone where they're able to catch all those people, they're sitting up there second, right below Echo.
Well, game number 1 is done. 5 more games to go. Let's take a look at our standings after game number 1 has concluded. Who is on top of the leaderboard? It's actually Team Falcons. The eliminations was enough. Second place got them up to the top. 17 elims, 30.6 total points. And then we got Team Echo. We talked about how good they are playing through injury, but more importantly, playing out of their minds. They currently sit in second, and in fact, the most eliminations out of the entire lobby. Nice to see FIFA Kill, Juki's, Lennon, they're in 3rd place. And, well, Enigma, you covered Omit EU. There they are in 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. A big fan of Omit EU and what they were trying to do in terms of the fundamental positioning, the early rotations, basically changed their drop spot, apologies. But I think one of the things as well when it comes to Omit EU is that they are, you know, I could accuse them maybe of not pushing up that church strong point that you had for Falcons. But what I will say is with the Falcons play in particular that you brought up there, Dandro, one of the things that Soka loves to do is trying to take that early strong spot and then use the out of bounds as an area to really seal them off. And I think that was the difference maker between the two teams there. I think if Omit EU go for that church spot early, they can make that same play instead. So fine margins, but seeing a lot of EMEA presence nice and early.
I mean, dude, I love that. But I also got to shout out Heeds for that 1v2 on.
Nasty.
My God, that was the 180 just choke slam on people. I was like, oh wow, like great positioning here. I'm like, oh okay, we're shooting nukes today. I love it.
All right, well, FIFA Kill and his crew, they did an incredible job. Currently sit in 3rd place. We actually had a chance to hear from FIFA Kill. Let's hear what he had to say.
Series of Warzone here in Las Vegas. I'm here with Team FIFA Kill, and that is going to be, of course, FIFA Kill, Lennon, and Juki's. It's fair to say, lads, it's been a bit of a rocky road. Can you talk about why it's been a tough year?
I mean, we had a good start in the group stages with, I think, 4th place overall in Europe. And then an update came out, our buy station left, and we didn't know where to land anymore. So the rest of the story has just basically been trying to find a home for us.
I know that you are talking... Where's Liam gone?
Wait, what? He was literally just there. Not again.
Oh, we got an interview. Oh, come on.
Hey, we'll come back for that on Sunday.
What are the real expectations for your team this week?
We're one of those teams that it can all come together on the day, so I think we have a very high ceiling. I think on our day we could definitely get a top 3 for sure. I mean, it's LAN. LAN and online is so different. We haven't really been able to play on equal ping. On the EU ones, we played a lot better, and we've all got experience on LAN, so I think that's going to play in our favor.
You two in particular, what does this guy bring to your team?
I think the most important thing he brings to the team is kills. He's usually our top fragger.
He's very good at breaking down a team, deciding strategically how we're going to do that, where we're going to get the opening knock, coordinating where we should be to break down a team.
Liam, you're not going to get away with just having your ego lifted here. I'm going to ask as well, what do your teammates bring to this trio?
Len brings an extra set of eyes, but I don't mean that. I mean, like, his vision is great in the team. I get my trade as well. Sometimes if I get full kill, he'll get the two-piece, even if I don't get a knock. Len's very good at that, and FIFA's good at leading us around the map, you know. I'll pick the fights and maybe coordinate the fights, but like wherever we fight, like what area we are, that's all on FIFA, and that obviously comes with a big part of his brain. I think he's one of the smartest players to ever grace the game, so I've got one of the best gunnies, one of the best brains with me, so that's what they bring.
So we've got one of the best slayers, one of the best supports, one of the best leaders, three great gentlemen of the space. I'm looking forward to watching you do something great this weekend, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that was Team FIFA Kill here at the World Series of Warzone Global Finals in Las Vegas.
All right, well done, Enigma, keeping Jukies in place. Reminiscent of their qualifiers, Jukies, I felt, was always away from the team trying to get eliminations. This time they come together. They're in third place. They're looking good. But the question is, who is going to win game number 2? Well, let's find out. Let's get game number 2 started. Spider Tiff goes. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Desk. I gotta say, that might be one of my favorite interview pieces I've ever seen. It happened on the map, but FIFA Kill was able to make it to top 3. A great start for a team that, frankly, I think a lot didn't expect a lot from. So it's good to see them near the top. The big note from that last map, though, Tiff, it's math, right? You get 7 kills, you multiply it by 2, it's 14. You're not in the top 5. The Falcons are on top because of their kills.
Exactly, and at least double digits are a solid start because we did touch on that. The Des talked about it earlier, those advanced starting points going into tomorrow when we have that race for 150, but we're just getting things kicked off. And honestly, to see FIFA Kill in that 3rd place, right? Because we're talking 2nd through 5th, you're going to get 30 points for tomorrow, and imagine what that's going to do for them if they can keep that momentum moving forward and keep a hold of Jukies. Now, that's something that happens in game and IRL too, apparently. They were walking around the casino floor the past couple days, and he like literally was feeding his arm through Lennon's like hoodie. He was like, please, you just have to keep a hold of me. Someone get that man a leash. Like, I'm talking a child backpack or something and just hold him down.
Well, it was FIFA by himself at the end, right? And to the top 3, but the third party was the reason that they were able to get some extra points and be out on top. But again, we talk about the math. We talk about the multipliers. This is the key part of this competition. You've got to make it to in-game, but you got to make it to in-game with kills. So Revenge Tour definitely enacting revenge and up to their namesake, but yet again, not a lot of kills to go around. So again, 14 points. That's kind of our metric right now. And again, when you're trying to get the amount of points that you want for tomorrow, we're looking truthfully for top 5. That's where you're getting a majority of your points. Win 40, top 5, 30. That's a great start to tomorrow.
Well, hear me out. The Revenge Tour, they kicked things off. They've shown us they can win, but now we need to see the eliminations to go through it. So let's get ourselves in that plane. We're looking down the barrel. We're getting into Urzikstan. Let it rip. We've got game number 2. Let's get into it.
Falcons are at the top. The question is, will they stay at the top? You know how many days Urzikstan's been around? 283. You know how long the Falcons have been at the top of Urzikistan? The whole time. Shifty has earned $500 every single day since the map dropped. It's unreal. This team is uncanny. They've earned $300,000 on this map alone. Are you kidding me? Somebody take him down. We'll see what happens. Take a look at the map. Take a look at Popov. Looks like we got a couple squads headed that way, including FIFA Kill.
Hey, look, I love when you want to get aggressive, but it's back to that contest that occurred at the start of map number 1. Turn your attention over here towards High Rise. Now, this resulted in in a few trades back and forth, but they didn't have an actual loss, right? Scummin kind of maintains that position, but they're ready to run it back. They're like, all right, cool. If you want to give us some elims, we will take them. And honestly, I'm just waiting for the angle. But he's got a PA in the back pocket too, and I kind of like that already.
Look, this is one of the most hotly contested, but also highly anticipated drop spots of this entire tournament. There's been a lot of smack talk between the two, and with Noobs into the mix, getting cut down immediately by Scummin. This is looking a lot of the same of last map. Let's see if Scummin can continue up the reign of terror. And yes, immediately, 1-2, buckle my shoe. Where's the third? See you later. Head to the Gulag, Vitality. Wow, what a start again for this squad on Hi-Rez.
That's a commanding victory in a contest if I've ever seen it. They didn't even get the fool on Dongy, because you can see Unrational getting him back up on his feet, and that's 3 eliminations that they'll kick things off with. But back to Bazaar we go. It looks to see that Resolve may be the only one standing.
Yeah, history repeats itself in Hi-Rez, but this time in Bazaar, it's a little bit different. Panda in trouble, Resolve in trouble, and gonna lose this one. Might get one. No, doesn't get the cleanup. Should get picked up. Panda is getting out of here. That is a loss for the side of Panda, so we'll count it 1-1 overall on that fight in Bazaar.
Can we talk about the preemptive of the shooting out of the zip so they can't go over there and just get on it? Regardless, they have maintained Bazaar for themselves, and considering where the circle may go, this is a nice space to claim for yourself, especially that buy station, all the loot to go alongside it. You can see Resolve there taking that Gulag victory against Patsuka.
Yeah, all right, we're getting back into the mix, but you're not going to go back to Bazaar, that's for sure. See them flying around trying to figure out where to go. And while we watch this Vortex team, Reply Totem again is who they're representing. This is a really strong team, a team that absolutely obliterated the competition when somehow they were forced into position in the finals where they didn't really do what they wanted to do, and then made it into LCQs and ripped everybody apart. So be curious to see if they can continue some momentum after a win in Bazaar. But to Destroy we go, and got a lot of fans of Destroy and a lot of fans of Aiden. The question is, which fans will be cheering here in a moment if Destroy decides to take this fight here in Opal?
I mean, look, if we want to talk stories, we want to talk longevity, it's that Aiden roster. Think back to 2021 Verdansk NA Trios. Team Aiden takes the win and does substantially well, but we want a return to form for them. And talk about that consistency that they've been bringing to the table throughout scrims at a lot of the tournaments leading up to World Series of Warzone. They have been just improving, and it's been so nice to see that. I think a land buff can really do them well.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that Aiden squad is one of the most highly anticipated teams of this tourney to potentially play for second. And well, as we're talking about them, they're wiping an entire squad and moving on their merry way. So we're going to continue to show some of these hot spots. And back to military we go again. Showstopper, a great third party before. This time a true 3v3, and definitely going to the side of this squad. Showstopper on your screen, a fantastic player, has been putting on a show for us all the way through regional finals where they dominated their competition and looking to dominate this Blast team. See it to the Gulag. We'll go and we'll see what they're able to do on the regain. This time military base goes to the side of V8.
Oh, hear me out about this roster. Enigma was talking about them, especially the momentum they've carried off of EWC, bringing it in. This is a squad that has the potential to pop off on land, especially day number 1, acquiring that. And if you're going to absolutely steamroll through that squad, I mean, Gabe looked lost there, right? And just circling things up as we get here, seeing where those teams are coming in from. Look to that northeastern side of things. There's still going to be a lot of those rosters that run straight into each other, but then look towards the northwest, Goj.
Yeah, we got a free pop-off. It looks like maybe FIFA kill or probably Jukies,
that's
frankly.
Jukies. 100%
that's gotta be
Jukies on the bridge
by himself right now, trying to catch up with his teams. But yeah, the Falcons obviously have a free pop-off. They're going to be rotating in, but the circle here is obviously denoting that we're going to be heading towards somewhat centrally located. I'm thinking likely Lowtown area. There is a circle that likes to end on that Lowtown area between that and Farms potentially. But here's Cloud9, one of the first looks at Cloud9 we've seen, and apparently on their back foot as Jukies has regained and rejoined his teammates.
Yeah, look, they are just making their way on over through this area. And look, if we're going to focus on making sure that we get rid of that trophy system to bring in a lot of the utility that we've got, I'm a little worried about Foreign Jace here on that high ground, which is nice. But if you peek for just a bit too long with the prowess of these weapons that we have, you can easily get 3, 2, 1. But you're already aware of where that lookout is. And Joel and Breadman are kind of able to fly free and look for those eliminations in close range engagements.
Yeah, and Cloud9, again, they've kind of changed up their drop spots based on scrims and tournaments they've been in. They used to land all the way over Seaport, and there's a chance they rotated over from that, but they had been landing kind of outposts and then rotating down to Central Zone, and that's where they're at right now, obviously. This Old Town, Low Town area is where everybody's going to try to be. B. So getting here early is nice. Getting some extra intel is fantastic. And got a bunker buster in pocket just in case somebody decides to push them.
When you think of macro strats, a lot of teams look for bunkers, they look for foresight, they look for all of the information that we can get. But the fact that we're ripping an intel contract right away from where Thor and Jace was on that roof, right? But they invest that bunker buster. They kind of cause a little bit of chaos over there so they can full send this. And that is just an exceptional way to approach it. Now that you have that next circle information, you can come up with that plan. And this is the most, okay, look, FIFA, can we get out of there? I'm so glad you're a better driver than me because this is a little ridiculous, but let's get on the move here because this is the most cohesive time I have ever seen Team FIFA kill. Like they said, shambles this roster was in, but now a different story.
Yeah, it's really easy to keep a player on a leash if you just stick him in the car and say, you gotta stay with us. But to a team that has had some
safety protection in the back.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Okay, yeah, lock the doors for him. He can't get out. To a team that's had actually a lot of roster changes here. Dizzy coming in as a sub for this event as their third wasn't able to make it in. Looking to find Clavson on the other side. Apparently not the first team out, but looking to maybe be the third if they get cut down here. Clavson, Gooey, FLS in trouble as Dizzy, their sub, comes in and finds his third elimination already here in the second zone. But here comes two. Dizzy almost wins it both, and unfortunately, doesn't look like Vita's there to clean up, which means we don't get a clean trade, which means it's a 2v2 for this fight. Luckily, catches one in transition. FLS did not hear the footsteps.
Look, FLS made that a little tough there, but I'm glad that we were able to get that going, get the buyback, and we can just keep on moving. Still 8 minutes into match number 2. Only 3 full squads have fallen, and I'm loving the regain that we are seeing. Subs, sometimes you gotta have those super subs, but turn your attention back towards the academy area. We saw these squads kind of be a big mainstay towards that end game, especially this area of the map. But Jackal, Huskers, Brawling, where were they in match number 1? But finally getting to actually check in with them here.
Yeah, there's another big pickup on another team that has some roster changes. Vieira coming in as a sub for this squad, and unfortunately getting cut down, likely in transition. Little smoke and run, you never know. But with 3 people shooting at you and somebody that shoots it straight, it's Huskers. No chance, my friend. See you later. Huskers reaping the edge of map. And now we're going to move closer to center as we take a look at suburbs. But I'm getting word. Who's our first team out, Miles? We've got an award to hand out. Let's see who it is.
We do have an award to hand out. Noobs, what happened, baby? What happened?
Well, I had a few PC issues the last 2 games, but I think we got it sorted out now. It didn't help, but we got something in the work for the next map.
What have you got in work for the next map? Any sort of teasers you can give the fans?
Nah, I can't reveal anything just yet.
Not a single secret?
Nope.
My man, tight-lipped. I appreciate it. How are the guys feeling though? What's the mood like in the camp after game 2?
We were expecting a little bit better, but I think we can regroup for sure and try out for the rest.
We wish you the best luck, man, and indeed, hopefully this helps as a good luck token for you going into the next game. Thanks very much, mate. Back to the casters.
Thank you so much, Miles, and thank you, Noobs. And I do believe their tricks might be changing drop spots. I'm not sure what's happening at Hi-Rez, but they're not winning it. But apparently, this wildcard team is winning a lot right now. All eyes on Team Colony 2K. A very strong performance in the last one, and looking like a strong performance in this one yet again. Heli to rotate. They're going to make their way to zone and set up for new as we swing over to the other side. Opal Palace, again, several teams in the area, but right now, Savvy Ultra's team locking down one of the spots they believe that giving you a bit of cover and a bit of reprieve to refuel back up.
No, I love that we're going to hit the double smoke and kind of get on out of there, especially when you've got other squads like Team Valor, like Omit NA in that nearby vicinity across the road. So invest that drone to go find some of your information and make sure, like, hey, we want a third party this. We don't want to have that occur to us. So as long as you can keep tabs on that, especially with Youngsta's Juju just being such insane firepower, it looks like they may already be a duo, but keep your eyes on this battle here. Destroy, Raul, they're on the high ground, looking down the barrel at FIFA, but you know what? They are all 3 together. This is a different story. We're talking about it. If we rip Juki's out because it's wall bangable, I'm a little nervous for that one.
Yeah, this is such an interesting spot as well because it's a very easy position to third party, fourth party, or more. You see 4 teams on our mini map. You can see Super Evan squad, a team that hasn't been in the limelight in a while, but really did a fantastic job during the regional finals. They won the very first map of the day and set the tone for what the pace would be in that regional finals. Have been a bit quiet in scrims and lead-up tournaments, but I'm excited to see what they can do here in Lowtown. Every team rotating this direction. You see Aiden off in the distance. They're not going to get a lot of value out of this, but maybe burn some resources. That Aiden squad is rotated over from Super. We saw Omit NA have another big rotation, probably on the back of Brax's IGL. They come from the northwestern side of the map. They've rotated all the way over to New. Everybody setting up for the end game. As some resources are in the sky, I'm sure everybody knows that there are several players around them.
Oh, and Juki's on the ground. The smoke and Lennon kind of disengaging from the area to look to hit that res. But I saw that he was using Resolute, which is quite a nice thing to just give you a bit extra health and give you a little more time to get to safety. And where you find this squad at, they don't have the ability to extend on out to get that full if it's not occurring, especially when you've got to worry about what's coming your way. Thermites, right? Replace that C4. They're nimble, they're quick, they're 6 in the back pocket. And now, Nate Dogg, welcome to the interrogation, because, you know, our APAC squad, they want all of that info, and they're not afraid to chow.
Yeah, and this is where they land as well, at least supposedly, right? I think there was some conversations they might go contest pop-up. It's not looking like it's the case. They've been here since the beginning of the game. This is XMQ squad. There's been some Twitter chirping from some of the folks that follow the APAC scene. Like, no, this squad is really, really good. Watch them kind of make some waves in this talent pool and have a good day in day one. And we'll go from there. Right now, looking pretty clean after a nice cleanup. Here's a look at that zone, by the way. As expected, we are in Lowtown and likely in Lowtown for the rest of this game. Take a look at all the squads on the edge of zone. Again, I want to pull out Omit EU, red 1 at the bottom of the map. This is where they've dropped. They've been playing extremely slow in this tournament, just waiting and biding their time. They haven't moved since the very beginning of this one, now creeping into the edge of zone. Several teams, though, are lying in wait because there's a lot of buildings in Lowtown. They just aren't very big, so expect some chaos here shortly.
You really have to, and they're already starting on that grind to make sure they can clear out one side of it. They've got the sight set onto Fluffy Aimers and a couple other squads on the horizon. And we're going for a massive wrap. Everyone knows they start off in pop-off power, but we rotate all the way in the north. We cut straight to the east and come on down straight this way to Bazaar and T, the only female on our land scene. Hey, Soka, don't give her a couple taps like that, man. What? Nah.
That was a well-placed thermite. I call those the fastball specials, all right? You just lace somebody to the thermite, knew exactly where they would be, where the buy station is. Nice play to clean up a squad and then move on the merry way. So back to some action we go on the side of Opera House. Again, Unrational and Scummin in the mix. On the other side, Almond with that Falcons Mina squad. Potentially last alive for his team, at least on the map. And maybe a couple well-placed thermites will root him out as we are hunting yet again the edge of zone for this Scummin squad.
Big fan of Sky Nades. Love when they work, especially when you need a diversion to make your way all the way up the staircases. But they already know about it because Scummin's going to take the brunt force up that. We're still going on in for that challenge. The timing of that push, impeccable. We don't lose anyone to actually fully eliminate it. And this squad, we talk about them leading up to World Series of Warzone, a squad that has the potential to have some of the biggest pop-off games. I've seen them get a 1.8 or a 2x multiplier that net them in north of 70 points. You know what that would do to the entire scoreboard right now? But they're a slow burn. They usually don't warm up until games 3 towards 4. But if they did that now, it changes the trajectory of our 6-game series.
No, I totally agree. And well, the Revenge Tour still in this one as well. They've holed up in a building. And right now, this is just everybody biding their time, okay? They said, we got where we wanted to be. If we can find a pick, somebody makes a mistake, we're going to take advantage of it. But until then, we're going to lie in wait and look for those mistakes. You see DJ Moss, Z-Smith, they do have one of the higher buildings in this area, so they likely have the most information out of these squads. We see Team 36 being fully eliminated here. We have made it into some semblance of a multiplier, but again, multipliers aren't everything. You've got to find kills. So a team like that Unrational squad who's hunting edge of zone, you're likely going to see them with a decent kill total. And there's Omit EU. How you doing out there? Scummin on 7, by the way. Thank you, production. Yeah, I think I was right. They are hunting the edge of the zone, and they are ready for multi-double-digit individual score tallies to put up one of those bangers you were talking about.
The question is, where is that next circle going to bring us towards? And if we have an isolated fight here, it's going to be nice because this squad can then clean this up, not have any real pressure from outside forces, and then can focus on kind of getting towards that high ground. Because you see Zakar, Clapper just up there. If they look down on this while we're rotating on out and we're not careful, we easily get picked off, which will be my biggest worry for a squad like this as we continue further north.
A little bit further north we go and into Old Town. This is the southern side of Lowtown, rather. But look at where Scum and Unrational's team in the pink 20 way down on the bridge. They can actually drive that train all the way in. So I'll be curious to see what they do with it. Ahsoka, another well-placed thermite, and another elimination. FLS is going to fall here shortly, but Ahsoka is in trouble. got a little bit of backup. Just wants to make sure he plays his life correctly. So they play inside the building. They're going to force a zone off here on the portable buy station. FLS, Gooey, not sure what to do as Shifty comes in for free again. Somehow being gifted with another piece of cover playing around this portable buy. They're all three up and ready for this fight.
Well, this is the Falcons special, right? Anytime one of them gets ripped off, usually have enough cash to kind of keep them going back in. But Gooey, the first team out in match number 1. But we have set a trap, and we are taking down the Falcons.
The Falcons fully eliminated, dropping early. I don't know how many eliminations they had, but I only expect them to not have a perfect day. Eliminated in somewhere around the 22nd mark. Not a ton of multipliers, folks. I think we're having a new leader at the end of this map, but only time will tell as the train comes chugging along. Says, hey, welcome to the party. Unrational Dongi is coming. Could be that team.
Hey, remember when I said I was worried about how that rotation was going to look for them? Okay, well, that's a little nonchalant, right? They're making their way on in, but getting on over. Savvy Ultras with pop out the window, trying to get buzzing, but Pentagon's there to help them. That death ball of a team, and even the replay here. Shifty from behind. Gooey slides around, but we're not paying attention to what's occurring behind us. A power of friendship, power of teammates. You love to see it.
Yeah, several folks firing down range there. The Falcons just couldn't get out of that one in a very tough spot. Fully eliminated. Here's another squad. Again, a lot of folks are down again, but they're here into the top 20. Juki's team, they've left him. Juki's go join your team, remember? But here comes Davis Amir. Viva Mexico, let's see what they're able to do. Picking up a couple in transition. That's a full team wipe yet again. The Slayer, Dark, a fantastic player leading this team in kills, but all three moving as a unit into the top 20, trying to make their way to new. Several teams in the area. That pink salmon color, number 9. That's going to be Super Evan. Watch out for that squad again. We're looking for a pop-off from the Wolf here, potentially on edge of zone. They've still got to rotate in. And where do you go from here, especially with a couple teams in your way, especially that FIFA kill squad in the blue?
Well, I'm excited to see what they do. Mind you, that 4th place in the Global LAN Finals last year for World Series of Warzone out of Deus Amir. He had that interview earlier, was talking about how he wants to do it for his region, secure more spots, and prove that they are amazing and substantial. But as you kind of zoom on out, set the stages of where the position is, I actually love where that Team COD Unity squad is. But now Scummin getting ripped apart as we extend out just a bit too far outside. Do we have a mobile buy station nearby to be able to get them back when, quite frankly, we don't really have enough cash?
Yeah, and frankly, this team is playing with house money right now. I mean, they're on nearly 20 eliminations as a trio. They're in a fantastic spot. Anything else they get from here is a huge boom. They don't even need another kill. They just need multipliers. Looking for top 10. Watch out. In the kill feed, as things get chaotic, watch out for that Unrational team. They could have the biggest game of the day by a sizable margin, as Lennon, FIFA kill, in a bit of trouble here. And, well, they've lost Juki's because he didn't rotate with them. Na'Vi on the other side. FIFA riding in the corner and hoping somebody makes a mistake.
I love how that Thermite just sticks like 4 inches away from him, and he's just trying to hold on. FIFA elsewhere.
Yikes.
But Lennon and FIFA are both on 0 eliminations.
Yikes.
This is a matter of fact where if you don't even have elims, these multipliers aren't going to do well. 3rd after map number 1, but fall a bit too early. 13 squads remaining, and keep your eyes on Na'Vi.
Na'Vi, welcome back to the party, by the way. I'm sure it feels good to play on LAN after playing from Australia. Some in Canada leading up to these regional finals, technically a North American team, but these folks have a long way to get here and now in trouble. PDS apparently burnt, so they have to burn another one. Omit EU, we go. And while the killers, the Slayers of the Falcons, still alive after a frustrating first map, having a great one thus far. Clapson, FLS, and Gooey trying to make the top 10. Omit EU trying to do the same, and apparently going for the res here, not thinking anybody will look at him. Somehow getting it for free. Several teams falling in the kill feed. You see Aiden still in the mix, deep in the gas. Where's Scummin? Where's Dongi? They're finding eliminations off screen. A ton of eliminations falling, a ton of teams falling. We made it to the top 10. That community team is getting paid, but Omit EU is trying to find their money. Where are the kills? Where are the players? Somehow all 3 alive and finally losing one.
Enkyo, Chromalok over there, but look who's back. Scummin on Rational on 4, but we've got to take down this squad right here. Burn, baby, burn, but back inside we go, throwing down the bouncing betties. It's Scummin last standing, but here's what's going on. We are in that 1.8. We do not have fools. We bait the res, and we still have Dongi. If we can take 2 into the last, we might be okay.
All right, APAC, I see you. Into the top 5, looking for a sizable multiplier here. They have the 1.8. Scum and Dongi, the only thing they can do right now is win for the 2x multi. Going for new, and is able to make it with a hair, an iota of health. Into zone. to cover and finally cut down by Omit EU. Dongi last alive on 10 eliminations. This is a massive game and only 3 teams left. Dongi finds one, gets one weak, cleans it up. How about one game finally cut down? Omit EU on top. It's APAC down below. XMQ only has 2. It's a 2v2. Omit EU could take it with the best position, but they've got to finish the job.
A 3v2, welcome back, and now we just crest the hill, start opening fire, the trades go on, but Enkyo, maybe one of the youngest players on our land stage, making his official debut and making it known here for match number 2.
Doing it for the French. Enkyo, welcome to land, my friend, and welcome to a map 2 victory. I see Enigma shaking his fist. He's excited about that one. Omit EU on top in the next game. Now remember, Tiff, I'm not putting a damper on this one. That was not a lot of kills from what I saw. And so 2 times 2 is 4. And I think it's a hair more than that. But all eyes on COD Community with an easy 30-plus point game.
Well, you just think about their consistency leading up through all the different stages of World Series of Warzone, right? They were capable of getting those second places. And I started to call to question. I was like, this is a team that is increasingly flexible, right? They will split drop depending on what that plane line looks like, whether they go up to Kotobo or they start from Manor. But when you start from Manor and that circle inevitably pulls to you, of course you're going to run that issue of maybe we weren't able to rotate through, find some fights and get those eliminations. Regardless, what they have shown us is they have the capability of netting themselves a win and thinking of what that's going to do for them, especially tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think the best part about this team is that they have the history of a very high placement. They've got a great multiplier across the board. Love to take a look back on what happened in that map, how they got there, because yes, they secured a great multiplier. I think they averaged like 1.7 multiplier throughout the course of the entire regional finals, but there was a long road to get there in this one. And frankly, apparently that medal from Miles paid off, because you see this FLS team, they go out first in the first map, they make it to top 10 with a decent amount of eliminations. What we didn't see was that Aiden's squad off screen with Z-Smith picking up kills, setting up this team for success, almost was able to drop the team that won and finally get shot in the back and taken down, but getting top 5.
And I love that they get that buyback, right? Onto Scummin, and he like flies back in after the redeploy and repositions himself. The 1 pixel actually separating. It's unfortunate that Gromalok was already there to pretty much punish him for even trying to do anything towards them. So we do see 2 eliminations, a ton of damage, but then our APAC squad, XTH on the low ground, that last minute buyback for them. They reunite on the low, and it looked like they were going to be able to do a lot of damage towards that Omit EU roster, but this is where having all of your team alive in that end game just pays dividends.
Yeah, this is a tale as old as time itself. When you have player advantage in the in circle, if you have all 3 alive, you usually win.
Is he on Twitter?
Very well. Yeah, you gotta tweet out the clips.
Did you already tweet it?
Come on, Enkyo. I see you. Farm your tweets right now.
Don't leak the DMs though, bro. Don't leak the DMs.
Get your impressions up. A fantastic win from the young gun. Just recently turned 19, I believe. I believe the youngest player on this entire LAN. But we're gonna head to the stage here with Miles. Miles has got one of the players to talk to. I believe it's Gromalok.
We do indeed. Gromalok is here. So firstly, congratulations. A very big win. How's the team feeling after that one? Breathe the fire out.
Yeah, we're feeling good on that one. That's definitely a good way to start the tourney. But yeah, job's not done. So gotta looking back after the games. And yeah, keep doing that shit.
Keep doing it. Well, you've got a few more games to play, obviously, but a good start, as you said. Now, you've got quite a young teammate. Can you tell us a little bit about him and how the nerves have been for the young man?
Yeah, Enkyo was just 19. It's his first LAN. As you can see, he's feeling pretty confident as a rookie. So yeah, he's one of the best in the game. So happy to play with him. I've been playing with him for years now. So yeah, very happy to share this with both of my teammates.
Oh, fantastic, man. How are you enjoying Vegas so far? Have you had any time to enjoy yourself? Are you walking around or just strictly on the game?
Yeah, Vegas is a dream. Like playing Call of Duty in Vegas, like child dream clearly. We're enjoying a lot. Yeah, enjoying a lot. Even if Enkyo is not 21, so he's struggling a bit, but it's okay. We have a good time here.
Fantastic, man. Well, once again, anything last moment you want to say anything to the French fans back home?
Sure. Merci à tous ceux qui nous soutiennent. Vive la France. Let's go, les gars. On est là pour montrer. Let's fucking go. And yeah, very happy to.
Merci. Bonne chance.
Merci.
Take care. All right, back to the desk. We've already said swear words. It's a family show.
All right, Miles, I appreciate you. Gromalok out there. Big win coming out from Omit EU and a tremendous win from Enkyo, his first LAN. We discussed at the top of show how would he perform? How would he be able to handle that pressure? Well, clearly he was able to do so in stride. That final zone was highly competitive. In fact, going back to the very beginning, Dandra, Old Town, Low Town, it's always mixy and dicey when we see zones go there. That's where we started, and the teams, well, they started rotating early.
No, I love that you bring that up because Enigma made a really good point, right? When we kind of looked at that heat map, when you kind of see this zone formulate, all of these teams that are on that outer edge of the map, they see that it's going Low Town, Old Town, and they go, I do not want to be caught in the water. That is exactly what they want to do. So we saw a number of squads come together very early on, like 8 or 9 people.
That's right.
Just hanging out in Low Town. They grabbed their building and they said, if you want to try and take this space, you have to take it from us. We saw a number of teams kind of rotate on in, some bunker busters getting thrown down, but nobody wanted to hard commit just to throw their life.
You can't hard commit sometimes because it's just too dicey. And actually, speaking of dicey, let's talk about FLS because they were in some dicey moments.
Yeah, and we just saw right at the Opera House, there was a lot of engagements that was going on, and for FLS and his team, they were completely dismantled by West Esports, Nitox, Dizzy, and Vita, and we had saw the regain because at some point, right, those rotations going into Low Town, we see Biffle, we see Hisoka, and right here, they get dismantled and get struck by a streak, but the regain from FLS and to be able to take down the Falcons,
yes,
you gotta give them some props.
Yeah, to knock them down from second place to 22nd from game 1 to game 2 is tremendous. FLS, shout out to you, but let's talk about the big dogs, Gio. Omit EU taking game number 2.
I mean, to be honest, I think that final circle was absolutely sublime because you had FLS, they actually had this building for cover, and Omit EU, they were out in the open.
Sure.
And it was funny, you know, you heard on the cast, they were like, don't get too cocky, and you backstage were like, no, do it, and that's exactly what they did. But I think it was actually really indicative of the play style that works so well for this team, particularly when we talk about a player like Enkyo, who's been seen as this young prodigy.
Yes.
Even in all of the EMEA tournaments, you know, when they came through the upper bracket, they came through the finals, other teams were saying Enkyo is the scariest player in this lobby. And they said, you know, this is his rookie LAN.
Right.
You know, it's his debut,
It's his
right?
debut.
And we're seeing exactly what he's made of, exactly where his particular strength is, and it's gonna come from being really feisty like that. And you know what? It worked.
He was feisty indeed, wasn't he? Omit EU taking game number 2. Heats, Gramalok, and Ikio. Well done for Ikio to only be 19 years old, first LAN, and to play as well as he's doing is absolutely tremendous. I'm ecstatic that we highlighted them during the pre-show. Enigma was pumping them up. Gio, obviously, you pumping them up just now. And, you know, I'm so happy to see them do as well as they had. Now, the question is, obviously, when we get to our standings, because Falcons finished off early. I know Aiden's been having a little bit of a tough time from game number 1 to game number 2. FIFA also another team that was finished off a little bit earlier. So game 1 winners and great performers not necessarily performing as well in game number 2. Now, there is one team, though, that's been making a big improvement throughout the qualifiers, and that's Community.
Yeah, I love that Community in that game too. I'm going to be honest, they have finally done the thing I have been waiting months for them to do, which is they hit double-digit kills. Towards the end, they had over 20, and they finally fixed their placement issue. So many times during the qualifiers, I'd see them have just a gap on everyone else with their eliminations, but then they're going out in like 26th, 27th, and I'm like, it really doesn't matter if you're not taking advantage of this multiplier. Now, I have to give a shout out. We said, you know, obviously this TBE roster, you know, we have some of them kind of playing here, but we do have Tommy as the coach for that team.
That's right.
I have to imagine that his influence is one of the best minds in Warzone, has fixed some of these issues for the squad.
Yeah, Tommy's a great competitor and a great shot indeed. You've been watching Tommy for the longest time throughout your career. I have as well, and it's great for him to be here, even if he's not necessarily playing. So I know he's happy to be on the global final stage once again. Let's take a look at our heat map and see where the drops ended up taking place. Obviously, we saw a lot of attention in Low Town, Old Town. Dream, if you don't mind, walk me through the heat map and what went down.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw potentially all, of course, those early engagements, but a lot of action around Low Town, a lot of teams rotating and getting set early, and rightfully so. Team Jukies, we did see one of those teams early there the whole time, but did fall. So it was really about holding in those engagements and rotating, of course, over the water, but, you know.
I'm also really curious too. Look at this bottom right at Manor. Normally we don't see a lot of people, landing here at Manor. We know that Omit EU, they are one of these squads that are here, but I'm a little bit surprised. A lot of people like to kind of land here, quickly loot up, and then rotate on out. We saw a number of fights go down on there, mainly FLS going up against that squad and getting taken on out. It was kind of a little bit of a blender. So I'm not surprised to see, where all the fights took place, but I am surprised to see that Manor kind of became a little bit of a more hot drop here in game number 2.
Well, Gio, everybody's trying to figure it out, right? I mean, it's the global stages after all. We talked with Jukies, and they said we don't even know where we're going to land. They're still figuring it out, and I think for most of the teams...
No one can predict what you're going to do if you don't know what you're going to do.
And that is a fact. That is a fact, Gio. But the thing is, everybody's people got to switch it up. These games have been way more aggressive than we were expecting.
Yeah, and we're only 2 games in as well.
That's
so,
right.
there is still time for things to really change. And I think one of the interesting things as well is, the teams that come in and have played against each other domestically in their own regions, they kind of will be like, all right, well, I don't necessarily want to go here because I know this team. That was a big talking point we had in EMEA was about Manor in particular because of this team, Omit EU. It's like, well, they consider themselves the experts there. But the international teams, for example, NA team, hypothetical NA team, hypothetical EMEA team, they're going to clash in those places and then start to figure out where they do and don't want to land based on that.
Today's important for the points, obviously, going into tomorrow's match point. I mean, we're talking a 40-point lead going into day number 1, or day number 2, for the number 1 team, whoever that might be. So instead of having to get 150 points, now you only have to get 110. And trust me, that will make a massive difference. But the good thing, though, aside from the points, is because it's a multi-day tournament, you get to fill out your competition and really figure out where you need to be going, what's happening, and get those nerves out of the way. Let's take a look at our standings. Omit EU will jump up to first, but not by much. Team Community, I think when we talked about them, obviously, Dandro, we talked about them changing things up, and it is working out. One of the struggles that they had was their placings, and now it seems as if they're doing just fine, but now it's even better because they have 30 eliminations, the most out of everyone.
Yeah, the 30 elims are really helping them come online. I have said since day one, if you want to try and keep up with this Team Falcons roster, it's about who can really get the eliminations. Community, they were my choice very early on to be one of the squads that can do it, and I love, after only 2 games, they are sitting here on 30. Only 0.4 points behind Omit EU in first. I got to imagine that's a very momentum-based team. I know when Gary starts getting loud, he starts feeling it, he's bringing the energy to those other 2. And I got to imagine after that game number 2, getting ready to head into game number 3, he's hyping them up. They're ready to go back-to-back and keep dropping games like this.
That's right. I do want to apologize. Aiden is actually doing just fine. Game number 1, I know they were finished off a little bit earlier, but game 2, clearly, they stepped it up. They're in 4th place at the moment. Now, if they can just get into those final zones, my lord, they would be absolutely insane. Dream, we take a look at our second page. What stands out to you?
Of course, that Omit NA team with Braxton, Youngsters, and Juju. This team, I guess, in particular, they were just kind of coming into this. Of course, we've talked about them, we've hyped them up, but I'm just surprised to see them in that range. I kind of want to just, especially with Braxton, right, just being that player that really steps it up for the squad, really being that heavy hitter team that always clutch up, even in his ones. But for this team, I'm just surprised to see him kind of a little bit, but it's only game 2.
It's only game 2, right? Plenty of games to go. In fact, 4 plus our solo YOLO, but 4 for the regular points. Things are going to continue to heat up. They already have, as far as I'm concerned. It's highly competitive out there without question, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. We're going to take a quick break, but leaving off, we've got Season 6 coming up. Let's see what's in store for us.
The entire team's gone dark. We'll split up. There may still be survivors. Let's move.
Come camera up.
Stay fast here. Movement. Rocket, come in. Enemy movement. Hostile spotted. Does anyone have eyes on him? Report. Does anyone read me?
Oh, Season 6 is looking good, and so is our Deaths. This time around, we're taking the casters, bringing them up for the first time in World Series of Warzone. I've got Spider Tiff and I've got Goj, but I've got this guy, Repulse, who's been doing everything. Not only pulse check up just a little bit above, he also brought out the trophy. How heavy is that trophy, though?
Hey, listen, man, let's not talk about how heavy that is. That's a tall trophy, all right? People were saying, they're making fun of my height. No, that's a tall trophy.
That's a tall trophy.
That's like 6 foot, all right?
6 foot trophy, and a lot happening here in the World Series of Warzone with a lot of storylines, right? And you said, look, we got a couple minutes, hit you with the hard questions. There's been talks of some retirements. Okay, let's just go straight into it. Let's talk some retirements. Biffle, obviously, there's been a lot of talk around that. Is he actually retiring? What's the story behind that? What's happening?
So he said this is pretty much going to be his last year. He pretty much said that, he thinks after this he's done. And but he did give a but. He said if they announce something crazy next year, he could be back. So
could be back.
Ball's in y'all's court, man.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay. Hey, that's a lot of pressure for the team, right? When I've been watching esports a while, man, I told him this. I said, dude, it seems like people want to retire in esports, but they're still young, and then they just come right back. Okay. So I'm hoping he does, and I guess it depends if they lose or if they win, right? So if they lose, maybe they come back. If they win, you never know. Either way, he's been crushing it without a doubt. Now, you've obviously been crushing it up there. You've been watching the storylines throughout the two games we've seen. We're about to hop into game 3. What storylines stand out to you, man? Because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, let's just backtrack a little bit into the qualifiers. It's been absolutely insane to see Grom, Enkyo, and Heeds be the team that everybody expected them to be. They were considered the number 1 team in EU or EMEA, and Falcons were considered the number 1 team in North America. But lately, they haven't really been performing that way as far as EMEA, Gromalock, and them. And to see them show up on LAN, being 10 points over Falcons, being over Community as well, absolutely insane, man. We didn't expect it, but I'm here for it.
What I love about this too is that Inkyo is top fragger right now.
Wow.
I'll out myself, foot in the mouth. I didn't think they had that many kills.
Wow.
Inkyo is the top fragger right now individually, 14 eliminations. Right behind him, by the way, Community. That Dongi player, bro. Yeah. This guy is different, so we got to talk about them as well.
Yeah. Can I talk about Dongi real quick? Absolutely.
Dongi is a player that everybody thought was cheating last year because he showed up to LAN, didn't have the greatest performance. But hey, anybody can have one bad day. Showed up to EWC, placed really good, top frag on his team, I believe. And then the biggest question was going to be, can he show up and play the way we see him play online? Because he's good. Yeah. That kid is good.
Really good.
And if he's second top frag by 1 kill right now, hey, Dongi, man.
Hey. Esports World Cup, he was named Dongwick.
Here we go.
Here I gotta keep it alive because Seymour was on fire with that one as far as I was concerned. Big Dongwick, man. Now he absolutely tore it up, and he continues to do so today. Now, obviously, on your broadcast, you guys talk a lot about the Falcons. So let's talk a little bit about the Falcons. Game number 2 was, okay. Game number 1 was phenomenal. They actually were in first place. We're gonna take a look at a heat map for their eliminations and where they've been tearing it up because they're traveling quite a bit, but it seems like one area is where they love to dominate.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, these guys, I'll tell you one thing with them. It's whenever they fight FLS, GUI, and Clapson, it seems like they're the only team that can kill them. They talk about it all the time. Shifty was like, who is this FLS guy? He's like the only one that is killing me. So to see them come out and wipe them, hey, man, wow.
I love that we get to zoom in and we see the tracking and their control of space, especially this match number 1, right? They kind of have the tendency to clear out one side of zone, and if they predict that accurately, which you have Soka being that closer, and more often than not, he is right. And that is how they start the domination. You oftentimes have to use multiple squads, multiple people to even take down Shifty, and I am pretty much a firm believer that if Shifty goes down first, everything is lost.
It might be it might be the only time in Warzone casting where I say it's a coin flip whether or not Shifty wins a 1v2, which is ridiculous to say.
We're in Vegas, though, remember?
We are in Vegas. It's better odds. There's better odds in Vegas, man. They're tearing it up. They're looking good. And 40 points is a lot. You actually were discussing it on your podcast with Jay God and the rest of your crew. 3 games tomorrow, maybe? I mean, how many are you really thinking we're going to be able to see?
Goj asked me this a little bit earlier.
Oh, did he?
I think I said 6 games, I believe it was.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I said 6 games. I mean, it just depends today, man. If they end up winning today and getting that 30-point threshold, But if not, they even get second through fifth, I think things are going to
30
shake it up.
points. Yeah, 30 points. I said 8 games. That's where I'm at. I think you were
Criminal,
sitting at
bro.
I want to see you guys work,
You
earn
wanna
your
go the distance?
paychecks.
You want it?
Yes.
Okay, look, for the crowd, for the community, for everyone at home, I want 8 games. The more games that we get, it gets even more just interesting and on the edge of your seat. But if we're sitting here and we're like, let's be real, how many times have they closed it out way quicker than 8 games when they are firing on all cylinders? But however, I've never seen them drop less than like a double-digit game or right there at it. And they might have just done that, especially the team that dropped first in match number 1. And you have to think about it this way. When you start looking at that individual kill leaderboard, they're all sitting on triple 8s, which sounds great for Vegas, but I'd like 7s better. There's a lot of names that are above them, right? Sage being one of them right now.
That is insane if you think about that. You know, last year, Sage, Shifty, Diaz.
Yeah.
They dropped Sage. Sage is now top fragging on his team, but not only that, top fragging more than Diaz, Shifty, and Soka.
Stir the pot, Hector. Stir the pot. Come on, man.
They're all I wanted hot takes. I wanted them.
Hey, they're all my boys. I love them all.
For what it's worth, we put a lot of attention on, Falcons, but Sage is a returning champion himself, right? He's looking to go back-to-back, and that would be a tremendous story. I mean, I love his story first and foremost, right? Sage is an incredible guy, an incredible player, and his story is incredible himself. But talk to me about your story, man. I mean, come on. You come in, you got Polish Tech, you're doing these watch parties. I remember doing these, really, World Series of Warzone last year, shouting you guys out because I'm like, I love what you guys are doing, and you've continued to grow. Where was the passion for watch parties? Why did you decide to start those? What's the story behind who you are?
Yeah, so I'll make it quick. Pretty much, I started watch parties because I looked in the mirror and I was like, if you can't win with Diaz Biffle, it's over. I got second last year, or 2 years ago, World Series of Warzone, and I decided, you know what, I think I'm a better entertainer than competitor. So we started the watch party, started the podcast, and just honestly, it's been amazing. I think I found what I love. So it's been awesome.
Hey, I love your story, I do, and I'm not going to forget you called me Elflections, by the way. Hey, he called me Elflections. I was calling him out for his performance. I said, why are you the lowest one on the team and everybody else is doing? But hey, you're doing the right thing, bro. And I love your story. Elflections lives on, dude, and won't let it die. It's a special thing. Solo YOLO, though, is another thing we're doing, and that's going to be game number 7 today after the normal games have ended. Solo YOLO last year was incredible, and you were doing your own watch party once again there. Talk to me about Skullface winning the arena. Absolutely went nuts.
Oh, man, that was absolutely crazy. I will say Solo YOLO is one of those things where the whole crowd is going crazy.
Yes.
The energy is just through the roof. Seeing Skullface win that, he was actually one of the people that a lot of people thought would win. Sad we don't get to see him here today or tomorrow, but hey, man, like, this year could be crazy.
This year could be nuts, but that story with Sage, right, going through the gulag and then giving it to Skull, and then Skull actually wins, like, it's just a beautiful story nonetheless. But I'm ready to continue to tell the story for the rest of the World Series of Warzone today. And for the first time ever in the World Series of Warzone stage, we've got 2 great casters, Dandro and Enigma, for game number 3.
Hey, thank you so much, Reflections. I'm going to ignore when you called me big earlier for that premium gas right now. Enigma and I here ready to bring you the hype for game number 3. We watched the first 2 games, man, and they have been absolutely electric.
Yeah.
Teams that we've been waiting literally all year long to come online are finally making their presence known. But guess what? Game number 3, I think I'm going to be the make or break for a lot of these squads.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing some solid starts. I'm seeing like OMEU doing really well, and they talked about that on the desk. I'm not going to count my chickens just yet. We've got a long tournament ahead of us, and I have been saying throughout this that day 1 is an opportunity for a lot of these teams to kind of iron out their kinks. So I'm not ruling out a lot of the squads that have gotten off to slow starts so far. So yeah, a long way to go just yet. A lot of stories still to tell, and I can't wait to do it alongside you, brother.
Well, we've seen some early aggression in both game number 1 and game number 2, and I have to wonder, will game number 3 continue that trend? Because it seems like it's really zone dependent, right? Between that game 1 and game number 2. I said it on the desk. I'm watching this kill feed, and it is just bang, 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 bang. Non-stop action all day long. These teams are getting mixy. I got a little bit of intel that, hey, players kind of played some of those couple of scrims, and they were like, wait, my gun is hitting diffy right now. So they are not afraid to start taking some of these ego chows and start really actually being able to make those plays that they want to with their confidence, but just haven't been able to online. It's LAN. It's a different environment. I think a lot of people are finding their confidence through game 1, game 2. Game 3, we could see some more teams start trying to do the same.
Well, I'm really glad you're bringing it up about the ping conversation, because a lot of people try and underestimate it over here. It's a huge thing. Like, one of OMEU's biggest weaknesses is that they lose players through the mid game, and it's often something like they lost just one bullet fight. And that can be the difference here on LAN. And all of a sudden they're starting to perform because those fights are going in their direction, not against them. They're seeing those end games out with a 4-3, and it gives you so much presence in that final zone.
Well, we're going to have to see, is that the case here in game number 3? We're loading on up. The players are getting ready to drop on in Vegas. I've heard you get loud for game 1 and game 2. Let's continue the tradition. We're dropping on in to game number 3. Never mind, I lied. We are resetting lobby. A-okay. But that just gives us more time to talk, and if anybody knows us too, that's exactly what we love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been yapping a lot about Warzone this year, but let's go back then to talking about, you know, some of the ways in which these teams are playing. And you mentioned the early aggression. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised about that. I thought that it was going to be quite a bit slower here on LAN. I wonder if that will, you know, evolve through the day, because a couple of teams that have come into this today have changed their landing spots dramatically. We've already seen a couple of these squads decide that they're just going to try and contest other teams for their POIs, and those POI fights obviously super important. We're seeing battles over by Bazaar, for example. That's one on between Panda and then Totem Reply, and then we're also seeing that fight for top of High Rise that went against my Vitality team that I love so much with Noob there, picking up the Better Luck Next Time medal.
Yeah, by the way, that is so absolutely criminal that we're giving a Better Luck Next Time medals to the first team eliminated, and the fact that it's Noobs, this like long-standing Warzone player, and he's just like, yeah. And actually, let's remember last year, World Series of Warzone 2023, him, Tommy, and Alman, game number 1, they were the first team eliminated in that game as well. Obviously worked out in the end for them. Probably pretty high up there in top 4 to be able to make it unhappen. But, you know, being able to come on in, that early aggression fight at High Rise is something that we kind of marked that we wanted to watch as the day goes on. And it kind of connects to what you said earlier. This is the time to sort of iron things out, right? If you are one of those squads and you're finding yourself losing that fight, okay, I hope you put in the prep to have a secondary plan there, because you might have to go ahead and put it in effect.
Well, this is exactly why we're seeing a difference all of a sudden in Team FIFA Kill, because we've talked about it quite a bit on the desk, but they genuinely had no plan before this event. Like, they went into LCQ still believing they could just outshoot anyone, and I think it was that last map scare that suddenly made them realize, no, we need to have something. And they don't just have a first landing spot, which is over on that west side of Popov, trying to keep their distance from SSD a little bit, but still set themselves up, take advantage of the loot around there and the rotations that SSD like to take advantage of, but also they have a secondary if they need to regain, which they weren't doing before, and that is now playing in through the center of the map and just finding an area to lay low, get their loot together. So those plans definitely hugely important for these teams as we progressed on through. It'll be interesting to see as well if there are changes, of course, depending on if you're losing those early fights.
No, that's a really good kind of point to bring up. I hate to keep harping on this team, but I do love the progression we have seen from them. Being able to have that regain sort of strategy is so important. It's one thing to land at your drop spot. You get your loot, you understand the people who are landing around you, you understand your loot path, your rotations, your timings, all of the work you put in all year. For some of these teams, though, if that goes awry early on, they're kind of just stuck, like, looking at their hands, like, what do we do now? And you, like, are dropping back in from the gulag, you pick a random house, and you're like, all right, I guess we're going to try and land there. We got some fun stats for you. Let's go ahead and look at them. We have our top 10 eliminations so far, Nimba. Let's go ahead, let's break it down.
Yeah, so I'm taking a quick look at this. I think the interesting one, actually, for me, that's going to stand out is Prodigy there in 5th. Not that he's not necessarily a slayer, but the one thing that they can be accused of sometimes as a team is not being aggressive enough. I think sometimes they can be accused of passive games, looking for the end zone. So to see them putting up the figures there, that suggests that they've changed something, and maybe it is that they're trying to mix what is a very good multiplayer averagely for them and turn it into something that gives them more with those kills.
No, I love being able to see that. We got at the top, we got Enkyo leading the squad so far with 14 total eliminations. Let's look at where he's finding those kills on the map. I love that we were able to do this for the Falcons. Let's see where Enkyo is dropping these eliminations. And well, I'm kind of not surprised to see this, but we're seeing a lot down here. We know this is their drop spot, kind of this one big area of the E-map, but then in that top east, one thing that is noting out to me, though, down there in Manor, they're kind of been known as the Lords of Manor. Haven't really been playing a lot there here yet today. Been finding a lot of their kills towards the north.
Yeah, they're happy to play around Manor, but they immediately get out of it. They like to try and push on out towards the gas station, then squeeze up towards Lowtown. And the thing is that, like, a lot of teams, especially the zones that we've already had through these first 2 maps, they're having to play through Lowtown. We've already seen that general heat map where a lot of teams getting caught through the center. It's also why we're seeing these lobbies dwindle quite early, in my opinion. But also off there towards the Abtal Academy, that was one of their huge rotations early on. And honestly, I truly believe that if they just decided to play for Church instead of letting SSD have it quite freely, I think we're seeing a lot more red there.
No, I mean, you have to wonder if they were able to make that rotation just a little bit earlier and actually, like you said, deny SSD that opportunity. They could have been the team finding all of those eliminations on rotation. They could actually have even more of a lead so far. But one thing I want to bring up to you, you and I, we've had the chance to cast host a lot of tournaments here together and watch a lot of these teams sort of perform. We have seen though times where teams get off to super hot starts, right? They're able to be here, you know, after second map, third map, they're top of the leaderboard, and we're over here talking like, wow, they're having a great game, and then all of a sudden it seems like a cliff happens and they just absolutely fizzle. If you're one of these teams who's had a successful, maybe like Omit EU, first game 1, first game 2, what are you doing to ensure that you can keep that momentum going into these other games, knowing that there are squads in this lobby who can have absolute bangers?
Well, absolutely. I think it is a very important point to talk about stamina in this event and whether or not you can last on out. It is a weakness of Omit EU, for example. We see them have these pop-off games and then sometimes fall a little bit slow. I think one of the things about that is making sure you're not just relying on the same game plan over and over again. I think a couple of teams can get caught in that loop of, well, we've got a plan, it worked really well first game, and then just kind of play out second game, start off poorly, and just kind of go back to that same plan. You need to have an alternate strategy that you can fall into in order to then regain throughout these maps. Again, something that we're seeing Profit Team FIFA Kill, and it'll be, again, a spot of can these teams manage to not just pick up the 6 maps today, and then obviously the solo YOLO later, which will be interesting, but we've got, I mean, we're talking on the desk, potentially 6, 7, 8 more games tomorrow, so there's a lot of Warzone to be played. You need to be able to be multi-dimensional, not just have the one strat.
I love all those points you just made. What a beautiful trophy we have here this year. Seeing that thing on the screen. I'm calling a little bit of a cap on Hector saying that thing is 6 feet tall. I think he is indeed just short. Sorry, my boy, but it's still looking great. I'll be curious to see who is going to be lifting this thing. It is absolutely wild. I just love just look at it. I love we got the little center column there, the world, and of course that emblem right at the top, really to mark that you are the first team of here to be able to win Urzikstan. Let's take a look at our standings though, just to give you a little bit of a reminder. Game number 2 saw 2 teams really kind of come online, and it's no surprise to see them at the top. Omit EU, we talked a lot about them, but also Team Community there in second with 30 total eliminations, leading the lobby.
Yeah, putting up those big digits that really make those multipliers count, right? I think you brought it up before. Sometimes they can get accused of getting a little bit too aggressive, get cut down throughout the mid games, but they seem to be doing a better job of just rooting themselves in, because that is one of the risks sometimes when you're one of these high slaying squads. You want to play around the edge of zone. Sometimes another squad is gatekeeping you on route in, but they're doing a good job. The one thing that does scare me about Dongi and Rational Scummin is they've been a bit inconsistent recently. They've been a little bit quiet, but there was a period through this year where we had them down as the second best team because of how good they looked, how consistent they are. So all of a sudden I'm sitting there going, okay, well, are this team suddenly finding their feet here, and could this turn into, again, a repeat of what we had before?
No, I definitely think that is a huge show. I mean, very early on, I was one of those people as well, like thinking, hey, with their ability to have these performances, I'm going to keep saying it. If you want to keep up with a team like the Falcons, you have to be able to find these eliminations, and they are proving to be that team. My number one gripe was always their ability to convert that into a much higher average placing. Reminder, folks, if you are in 2nd through 5th, you have a 1.8 times multiplier on your eliminations, okay? And that's a sliding scale, right? So you then get down to a 1.6 and then a 1.4. This team wasn't taking advantage of that. They were like dropping games where they had 18, 20 eliminations and literally having maybe a 1.2. Maybe. You cannot be able to be in that point where you're not taking advantage of the points that you're leaving on the table. So I like that they've been able to convert that in. They're getting these eliminations, and they're able to have those multipliers as well. Looks like we are back in the lobby, getting ready to fly on in, my man. Game number 3, getting ready to get started.
Absolutely, and as the crowd starts to get ready for this map 3, a couple of storylines already coming together. Falcons off to a slower start than usual. Other players rising to the fore. We're just moments away from seeing how we progress through the rest of this afternoon.
Drop number 3 of the World Series of Warzone Global Final here on day number 1. Surprising number of teams coming out on top in game number 1 and game number 2. Will be game 3. Bring us another group of squads who are finding their footing here as we're seeing our players drop right out of the plane. And we're already right into the thick of it, baby. We knew this contest was happening. It is Community. It is Team Vitality. They are just continuing to butt heads as Doggy, we know what he can do. first elimination.
Yeah, we've been watching a lot of this contest recently around the high-rise building, and this is going to be the Vitality squad, but with noobs instead of Enxion up against Community. And honestly, recently it's been going the way of that Vitality team, but I do wonder what kind of effect having to bring noobs into the last-second sub is having here, and especially when these tight fights. Definitely need a lot of chemistry. Unrational punishes noobs for floating on down, and another slow start for Unrational. That's going to make it 3-0 to Community on these fights.
Yeah, they are doing a great job being able to hold down this high-rise building, and I think the under kind of tone here is that, yes, obviously you get these early eliminations from this contest, but you actually gain a lot of space on the map, too, to be able to rotate on out and just kind of figure out where you want to go on the zone. You can glide for so long off the top of these buildings, and you're able to kind of chill out, wait to see where that zone goes, and then start rotating. Back on the other side of the map, though, we can see the Las Vegas Inferno. I know they're here in the building looking to get loud for their team, and it seems like so far early on they are trying to find some early success against Cloud9.
Cloud9 are going to be pushed into a difficult spot here because Joe will get separated and is spotted on the cross on ground loop for a moment, so it might not be punished. And there's also a lack of utility on this Las Vegas Inferno team, so still relatively 50-50. It's interesting, though, to see that Adrian has picked off Joe from elsewhere, so a third party comes on through, leaving Jason Breadman in a tough spot. And the thing is, they won't be aware necessarily of the fact that they're getting pinned in here.
Yeah, this is a really tough spot because you can see there's 4 different teams in this area. You got FaZe kind of lurking on the outside. We saw Adrian was able to pick up Joe. C9 kind of playing underneath Las Vegas Inferno here, and there's one more team lurking in the wings. Almighty TJ seemingly has seen Breadman go ahead and cross as he's trying to be able to maybe find one more pick. C9, a little bit of a scramble right now, losing Joe this early. I know it's been a little bit of a tough time for them, but being able to kind of come out on top here is huge.
Yeah, the one thing that might keep Jace alive, by the way, is that the Spanish XO Esports actually roll in through the back and pick up Babahoff. We see in the kill feed as well, by the way, that Vitality have gone out very, very early, definitely continuing their early game struggles. And this old town crossing into towards gas station here is going to be occupied by the XO Esports, trying to find a route in. Future gets picked on off by Loss. And we're also seeing Blastities go out nice and early. So a couple of traded blows, just assessing the space you've managed to gain, the loot you can set yourself up with. You brought it up just moments ago. It can really help you picking up these early gunfights for multiple reasons, but one of them is it also lets you play late game positioning far more passively than some of these teams will have to if they fall early.
Well, let's come on over to one of my favorite teams, Aiden Z-Smith and DJ Moss, currently sitting in 4th on the leaderboard, kind of over here towards this Lowtown area. This team has been really sort of flexible in where they like to drop and where they like to rotate. But the number one thing you have to realize here is they love to play as a team, and they will just easily take these team fights, wipe a squad, continue on moving. It's like a weird, like, fast, slow pace, I like to say, because they're not afraid to get aggressive, but they don't really feel a lot of that pressure. Like, we have to win this team fight, and we have to keep on moving. They're so okay just being like, yeah, I don't really like this fight. Let's go ahead and move on out. And that's something we've seen a lot of top teams are really engaging in. Recognizing when they can get stuck in a fight. They don't have to be able to sit there. And I love that that's what this squad has been able to do. They've been on the up and up. They are here, already performing pretty well here through the first 2 maps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I truly think that Z-Smith, by the way, is an absolute star of a player that you have in North America. And we are seeing this fight execute again at Bazaar. Volkov finds the first, and then traded out for the second. Bazaar's going to squeeze up on this, finds one, and then gets shot in the back, nearly spins, but Vortex will clean that on up. And that fight, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, has seen plenty of heat on the timeline. It looks like the Italians alongside Dropstaff come out on top here.
But if I know anything, it is that Panda keeps the momentum, keeps the energy high for that team. How many times have we seen these 2 teams kind of just land back on each other? I wonder sometimes for ego or whether for actual strategy. So we look towards our map. We see already still a pretty big center zone. Will not force many of our teams to have to kind of make these crazy rotations just yet. We're going to be waiting, of course, for those future zones to come on in to figure it on out.
Yeah, I think when you look at this kind of zone, you definitely want to be playing around intels. You definitely want to be figuring out which part of the islands you need to be on. You don't want to be having to play across the water mass throughout a late stage rotation, just asking to get cut down. I mean, this to me stinks of a potential cargo zone. So for example, if you're off towards city, you're having to try and make that crossing, you're asking for trouble if you do it late.
I absolutely love that. I love the call in the intel contract too. I think it's one of those contracts that maybe gets overlooked just a little bit, not entirely. Players know how useful it can be to be able to read those zones, but especially in a time like this where it's so central and you want to know, is this going to pull right, is it going to pull left, is it going to pull north, south, whatever's going to do, get those intel contracts, get that early cash on up to be able to use it. Back on over to Community, laying in wait, Scumming. He sees this fight kind of brewing between Falcons meta. They're kind of just hanging on out. He has their sights on set. This could be really rough if Zeeks tries to push across, because Scumming, you got him in his sight, but get some shots on Almond there, so you know they're around here. And now this Falcons meta squad, they have to play patient.
Just gonna have to figure out a crossing here. They are up against the edge of the zone. Scummy will see that smoke come out and is wise to disengage, in my opinion. Clapper backing on off, and this is one of the teams I talked about coming into this. One of the lower performing squads in EMEA, but a team that do a lot of VOD reviews. So if you can figure out who you want to take your fights against, and I'm a little bit worried here that Rocket might not have spotted the team coming in behind. That's going to be Brawling. Huskers, Jackal, but Rocket turns. Rocket finds a couple of shots in. Jackal will trade that on out, but Clapper is there for the support. It's currently a 1v1. Zakar against Jackal to see how this all goes on down.
Jackal, he's going to swing wide. He sees the self-revive coming up. The shots are there, but Rocket, you're able to get over the wall just in time. You do lose Clapper, though. It's going to put this into a 3v2. Zakar and Rocket, you have to go ahead and back off. I love the Jackal. You're trying to be able to watch this cross. The shots coming on through. Zakar's going to turn around, maybe get the shots back onto Brawling and Huskers, but you're trying to hold this heady. If there's one thing I know, you got a couple of straight shooters on the other side ready to rip you right on off it. Rocket's trying to make his way on over to the teammate. Maybe holds on out, but this is a sticky situation. They're looking to make the exit right now. I don't know if Exiles is going to let them do it.
No, I don't think so. Rocket is trying to squeeze, but you've run out of smokes at this point. You had a window of opportunity to escape. You've not necessarily taken it. Rocket gets a couple of bit more damage in, but Zakar is potentially surrounded here. But can he execute a flank? Can he get in around the back here? Well, he finds Brawling, and that's a big down. That will open this up into a 2v2. It's whether or not Rocket's managed to stay alive elsewhere. He has, and suddenly the push from the Brawling and Co. has really fallen apart. Rocket's going to play exit strategy, and I'm not sure if I agree with this. You're leaving a teammate out to dry, and honestly, the initial engagement, it was a case of Zakar was too far away to provide the support. That's why it all fell apart for this team.
Yeah, well, at first I was like, I don't know if I like this. Play with your teammate. You just got a knock. Play the 2v2, but look who's been able to move on in. It is Omit and A. They are here. We saw in game number 1, they kind of tried to do something similar, right? Over towards that Bazaar. They made this late rotation on in, tried to be able to take that fight. They unfortunately just basically get reverse slammed and get sent to the gulag immediately. Not letting the same thing happen on here. Hoping to maybe pick up some early fights, but I love what Huskers and Jackal have been able to do here. They've made this read that, hey, Omit and A's got to be around here somewhere. Let's go ahead, let's sit into the building, but let's check in with our Falcons, the team that we are all looking towards as well. They are over here at the place that we expect them to be, Pop-Off Power.
Yeah, absolutely, but they are without Shifty, and will need to bring in the buy. Of course, they are absolutely loaded. So much money in the pocket whenever they're available here at Pop-Off. And the one thing is you're rotating back towards a squad here. Panda and Co, they might decide to third party this. Very aggressive team typically, so if they see this buy, that's a signal flare going up in the sky. It's whether or not they get squeezed up on. We're going to get a look back here at our zone, and yeah, that zone continues to squeeze on in towards the center. There's still plenty of water potentially splitting these islands, so for me, you've got to continue to get ahead of the curve and try and figure out what the end game is going to be.
Yeah, I like what these squads right in the middle are doing. This is what you want. If it pulls cargo, you're feeling pretty good. If it pulls kind of down towards the soccer field zone, potentially, you're looking pretty solid. If it stays on you towards Old Town, hey, you're sitting pretty. I love that to be able to have as we start seeing some absolute shenaniganry happening with our eliminations. As we're starting to see some people's already hit double digits.
Yeah, Echo hitting 10 is absolutely insane. I'll come back to that because it looks like all of a sudden the French are in trouble. But before that, I believe we've got an interview from Miles up on the stage with FaZe Black.
Thanks very much, team. Real quick, we're getting this from Fast Blast, not the man I thought I'd be speaking to. Game 3 didn't go your way, man. What happened?
So our normal hotspot or drop spot wasn't in zone, and we have a different spot, and we actually killed the top team in our spot, which was like noobs in them, and we killed them, and we get instantly third-partied by Almond's team because they had loadout, we didn't, and then we all just lost Gulag. I mean, Gulags are relatively more like 50-50-ish. Anything can really happen, and unfortunately, we lost all of ours. I mean, this happened to TB last year from Mazra. You know, Almond and them were probably the best team going to the tournament, and first game, they got dead last. And then they had a great run. I mean, I'm not too worried because this is just for points for tomorrow. So just getting the reps in, and hopefully we execute tomorrow.
Consummate professional and an absolute badass, brother. I've got to give you that. I'm so sorry. I know. Smile and wave at the camera. Back to the casters.
Hey, thank you, Miles. Necessarily not the things I want to hear out of Blast. They had a great game number 1, but an early exit here into game number 3. Saying game 1 doesn't really matter, or day 1 doesn't really matter, so we don't really care, but it's you actually do. But into the Gulag, look at this. Breadman, part of C9. He's the last player alive. This is a must-win against Fuzzin. Normally, you're feeling confident about this one, but it's land, ladies and gentlemen, through the smoke. The hip fires are there with the SMG, but he can't manage to do it. Fuzzin wins at the gunfight and sends Cloud9 packing.
Yeah, Breadman's got to be devastated to lose that one. I think actually a close smoke typically benefits players at American keyboard. I know that's a whole conversation, and I'm with you, right? Emphasis is quite strong, but in the close-up smoke fights, typically it's quite useful. Fuzzin goes absolutely massive here to turn and burn, and that will be Cloud9 out very early. It's been a quiet start to the tournament from them.
Yeah, I love this replay. Kind of seeing a little bit of the slow-mo. Fuzzin just kind of hits a nice little slide cancel. And you mentioned aim assist kind of comes into it. Your mouse and keyboard might not be able to flick the mouse that fast. Fuzzin with a fantastic gulag. Hate to see them go, but hey, you got to respect game where it is. Falcons Mena, they're finding themselves just in a little bit of a slower pace already. Zix only with 1 elimination. Not looking too crazy. But I'm looking at that top right inning, and I'm seeing Team Community has overtaken Omit EU. Obviously finding some good success here in game number 3 as Almond, well, he has his eyes on a team that you highlighted at the top of the show.
Yeah, showstopper. Vision, AJ. This is a very strong squad in my opinion. There's another one coming on down. Prodigy's going to get caught, and Almond will punish him. It's whether or not his teammate can provide any support at all. And now goes the smoke, and actually might give Prodigy an opportunity to get up. The Thermite actually connected with something, and Echo and Oki will continue to rain Hellfire down. Echo, Oki, Prodigy have a lot of kills right now, fixing that problem that I said that they have sometimes around passive games. It's whether or not you get caught in these kind of stages. You've got to stay up, and Prodigy's knocked down again.
Yeah, I love the patience from Almond right here. He kind of threw a little bit of a shoulder, sees the teammates of Prodigy up on that high ground, realizes, I can't exactly push my way up here. I can't go too wide. They're looking down on it, but he just lays in wait. Prodigy, you're just kind of bleeding out, brother. Maybe saying, are we doing anything here? Or are we just going to kind of play for the regain? Don't worry about it. I love the high ground, though. This is one thing I've always loved about Echo, okay? They will land on this building every single game. It does not matter the zone. It does not matter the plane path. They will make their way to this building and make their decisions from there.
Well, all the conversation around having alternate strategies, I feel, is very valid, but there's also just intimately understanding the map and who you're going to be fighting, and that is how they like to play it on out. We move on over. Volcom, Resolve, they are trapped right now. Stuck truly between a rock and a hard place, and the door opens at the wrong time. Resolve's looking the wrong way. Volcom, nice to slip a couple of plays in. So whether or not you can stay up, it's going to be the Frenchmen that are contesting them. It's Zach, it's going to be Eisen, and Zach finds Volcom, who overstays his welcome here. Now, can the French collapse in on this? Zach will try and clean it up. Eisen gets aggressive up the front, and actually the mine comes on through, drags Eisen down, and Zach does just enough to see off the LATAM team.
Bouncing Betty had me a little bit worried there for a second that we were about to see just a quick turn, but a great fight on the edge of zone. Back on over to Community, though. This is what we like to see. Unrational with a sniper in hand. We got word a couple people are going to be rocking this Morris, okay? I know we don't have one-shot snipers, but we do have a sniper that the body shot is breaking plates. Pair that up, of course, with your teammates who just have absolute laser beam aim. You are going to be picking apart teams. Unrational, he's been a fantastic sniper all the way since back in Verdansk. I love that he's sort of leaning into this ability that he knows that he has.
I love this play, by the way, to just hit on underneath. I was a little bit worried that they were going to get plucked out of the sky or potentially just be immediately contested once they land, but head for the underground. That's the bunker tunnel. We get another look at this zone, and well, I think my cargo prediction's out to the water. I think this is going to end up being more of like a Old Town, Sea-Town kind of vibe, and all the teams that are currently sitting center zone are going to be feeling very happy about that, because again, a lot of squads are going to be rotating late across water. They're going to be easy pickings if you're waiting.
That is the #1 thing. You got to put yourself in these power positions to be able to watch some of these teams make their way across and try and, you know, swim through. Now, we know how difficult it can be to kind of shoot through this water, so invest a couple of smokes. You're able to dive in and dive out of it. You might be able to make that cross, but this team so far, they're taking a little bit of a moment just to kind of reset. I think they maybe get an idea of what their game plan is. You've made it to this zone, great, but you try and hop up and play in the ruins, maybe catch people coming over from cargo, and kind of looking around to the rest of Lowtown. We'll have to wait and see. Still alive here, FIFA kill, Len and Jukies doing good. Len on 4, a not bad start to game number 3.
No, not at all, especially for the support player in all of this. He's the guy who's trying to glue these superstars together. A solid start so far in this map. However, you've got a difficult rotation from this point. There's so many teams in the area. It's also relatively open. Juki's going to pop the opening smoke in order to let him cross back towards his teammates. And look at them, nice and together. This is so much more about what we wanted to see between these three. They're able to support each other, play over the top of one another. That's the utility that's going to provide them the smokes they need, and they also have the LTV to rotate on out.
I mean, I kind of wanted to almost third party, because you see this fight between Clavson and Vortex and them happening just nearby, but it looks like they are just going to use this LTV, get into the middle of zone, find themselves a spot that they can hold on out. But I don't know if you're going to get this for free. You've started making your way into a building. King Chalk and Nyson, you're upstairs. They have to be a little bit careful about just pushing on forward. This is how some of these teams can get taken out too early. You think you have this for free, next thing you know, there's a team just laying in wait for you.
What I will say, Lennon on 4, Juki's on 3. Got to assume FIFA kill has 1 or 2, so pushing toward double digits here.
Okay.
We're only in zone 5, so plenty left to fight for. A good position here would lift them back up into this conversation. that we've been having about how well they're doing. And just across the road, there's going to be C-Smith, Aiden, DJ Mash, just stuck between a rock and a hard place. And in the kill feed, by the way, the French are still a part of the conversation too. Super Evan and Empathy are going to try and get on over here. And this is what I'm talking about. These crossings are not easy. If someone's looking your way, they can just pluck you straight out of the sky with that STG.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a little bit of a confidence play to try and hit one of these zips to get into zone. And you have to know exactly where you're going when you do that, because we've seen it time and time again where people, they hit the zip and they're kind of floating just for a hot sec. And next thing you know, yeah, you have a couple people that STG starting to rip you out of the sky and you're getting deleted. So I'm glad that they're able to do that. They have found themselves a little bit of a home here. A lot of players finding their area that they want to hang out, that they want to try and hold out here. One of those squads we just saw was Aiden Seasman and DJ Moss. We saw them in the last game. They had moved forward to find their spacing, and now they're doing here as well. But the Falcons on the other side, they're going ahead to start fighting this team we saw at Downtown. Prodigy, Oki, Echo, they're trying to make it happen, but unfortunately, it looks like maybe just a little bit of a third party came in. We can see Scummin actually picks up Echo.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. They step outside the building for a moment, and Scummin's going to see all of that coming up on the mini-map, all of that noise, and take advantage, just picking one up. And I do think that that is why the Falcons have stayed alive. And look at them try and make a very difficult crossing through open territory. Multiple smokes going out at the same time, so a little bit of a miscommunication there. You want to have as many of those for your crossing as you can possibly make. This is how they play. Very direct, very straight through the middle, hoping that no one sees them cross.
Coach said it for those first two games. I'm going to echo his same statement. For free! He's able to get there. And like you said, it's just a direct movement. You're dropping the smokes. We call them backpack merchants, and this is why. They just are stacked up with these smokes in order to make the cross. They've made it to this building. They know somebody's in here. They're starting to go ahead and push on up. It's Teagues and Hossie. They're sitting on the roof. I mean, you get Biffle and Soka go ahead and push on through. They're going to be able to take them down, and it was just a clean wipe, and now they've gained the position.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what Hossie was trying to do there, but lands straight into the lap of the Falcons. And this zone continues to squeeze. 21 teams, sorry, across a small landmass, and everyone starting to bring out smokes to try and hit their rotations on board with the French, who have a lot to do. They're on the wrong side of the zone right now. They've got to find a way through. It's whether or not they can echo exactly what the Falcons just achieved. Gromelok's going to try and support from behind here as Heeds and Enkyo send forward, and there's a vehicle available to play. I actually love this. You will make a lot of noise, but it was going to give you a relatively safer passage to next zone.
The smoke's getting infested. You can see the Falcons are trying to light them on up, but Omit and A, they found themselves right underneath their brethren. A potential inter-org fight about to brew on out, but this zone is just constricting these teams into the position. FIFA Kill, last alive bet left for his team. Only 2 eliminations. You'd love to see him be able to stay alive, trying to open up any of these crates, maybe get some more cash to be able to get the 2 teammates back on it.
Honestly, I just want him to lie down in a corner. You picked up quite a few kills. Play for that 1.6x. Get the multipliers in. Everyone else is going to be squabbling. You can just put yourselves off to the side, maybe third-party situation, get yourself a couple of bonus points. Some do it in groups to great effect. Just whether or not he can just stay up for now. The Falcons getting peppered from absolutely everywhere. The walls are thin around here, and the teams are trying to press for what is the power position that the Falcons hold right now. They should be able to look on out over and see a couple of teams rotating beneath them. It's just whether or not they can get a second as the mortar rains on down above them.
Yeah, this is the only problem when you make a play like this, right? Sure, you've been able to grab the power position. Everyone else is going to hear your shots coming from up above, though, and they're going to have their sights set on you to be able to kind of try and get that damage on in. So they have to be careful about being able to hop on up. Maybe, yes, you're able to find an elimination or two, but all it takes is just one team looking at you to shred you on out. But as we kind of get this nice little free cam look, I don't know if anyone else really has the angle to be able to get them. You got Gooey, FLS, and Clavson down below. They might be able to do something, but for now, they're happy with their spot. They can just go ahead and hang on out as well. They're still finding some eliminations, and Soka, he's found an elimination onto Heeds.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say those two teams right on top of each other, and it's going to be the Falcons that open up on the French, which is going to send the French potentially into a bit of a rotation away, and there's not much ground in order to back off into. They go into the gas. You end up with Biffle picking up Enkyo. Heeds then loses as well against FLS, and all of a sudden the French are in a lot of trouble. Gromelok the last to try and stay alive. The Falcons, though, continuing to just press the equation from this power position. They will have the look on out over everyone else. And for me, the best part of this zone, Gromelok, he's out of here. Omi EU, they will be sat in second, but this is a relatively early elimination.
Yeah, we still have many squads to go here. We're looking for that top 5 with the 1.8 times multiplier. Only at the 1.6 right now, so everybody just trying to lay in wait, trying to make it to that top 5. You can tell the boys are locked on in, using everything they can, and I love this. You smoke it on out. You try and move on forward. Soka, he's going to be be the first one to make the move, but it's A-okay. They're all right with this. You're able to get the self-revive, and well, now you have the other high ground. Nobody else is contesting this right now. They could just look down below at all of these players, but it's just basically a layer cake that's happening here. Community has been eliminated by FLS. And Shifty towards the sky. Robstar, he's able to come on in on top of the bathhouse. He knows he's here. Not able to find that elimination, though.
Yeah, this could well be one of those games where suddenly the Falcons just come online, and what a throw that is. FLS going to be absolutely cooked by the Thermite. He's out of here. Shifty onto 5. Clavson will be just down below, and as the rest of the team squeeze into the bathhouse, the Falcons obviously hold the best position. They're able to look in from the windows and pick off anyone here. The one thing for them right now, they're kind of stuck between whether or not they get aggressive and try and get as many kills as possible, or they just simply play for that 2x multiplier. But we are into top 5. It is only the victory that will give you an extra benefit here. Interesting to see that the French have a full 3 for this fight.
Yeah, you love to be able to see them keep online. Shifty getting shots into Robstar, still up above. This kind of looked like a slow game across the board for everyone, okay? And so the fact that they are able to still make it this deep with a solid amount of eliminations is crucial. They find Robstar, so that's going to stop them. They don't have to look above them anymore, right? All they have to do is focus on these teams below them. 4 teams remaining, and well, you got a couple there, but it's Nate Dogg on the inside alongside Destroy, trying to make this fight happen on out. The hip fires come on through. You're able to find Nida. King Chalk, you get the trades on it. Destroy is there. Going for the res on the Nate Dogg. King Chalk, he got the self-revive. It's not going to be allowed to happen because look who's already there to play spoiler.
They are indeed. Zach 7 will pick up the remainder, but it is a 1v3. The Falcons holding the high ground, waiting for their opponent to step on out, playing with their food. They will get aggressive, they will clean it up, and the Falcons take map 3 here at the World Series of Warzone Global Final in Las Vegas. We talked about a slow start, we talked about whether or not they could come online. It felt like we were simply delaying the inevitable, and there we go, ladies and gentlemen, a prophecy fulfilled here in map 3.
No, this is exactly the type of game you like to see out of them. It is no surprise to see them maybe take a game or two, read the lobby, feel how they're going to go ahead and play. Now, I don't want to even say slow start because they were still finding eliminations. They were still doing pretty good, but this is what you like to see. You like to see them to be able to kind of work together to figure out, even in these slower sort of matches, yes, maybe it's not the 25 kill win that we've come to expect from them, but what it is, it's the momentum starter, and we're only after 3 games in. We got 3 games left here today, plus our solo YOLO. I would not be surprised, though, to see this to be the match to start the fire.
Well, we saw this on Tuesday, right? The last bit of practice that they got before we flew out to Vegas, and they got to a very slow couple of games initially, and then once they got that 1 victory, they went and had 3 back-to-back. So it's whether or not we're going to get a repeating of this going on. It starts to become very concerning for anyone else in the lobby when you see that the Falcons have come out on top.
Yeah, I got to imagine that zone really kind of caused a lot of chaos from them, too. I loved that endgame sort of play that they had, though, where we saw Ahsoka make the first cross, and yes, while you do get laser beamed out of the sky, he goes down, the teammates are able to follow it up, you get the self-revive, and really at that point, they just have to worry about Robstar, who lands above them, and once they take out Robstar, it's like, all right, we literally only have to worry about everyone that's below us, and then I think they were fully ready to go for a heal off there against Zach. Thankfully, that's not exactly what has to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that with the Falcons there as well, it's not a surprise to see them take multiple high grounds throughout that. The power positions, of course. We're going to get a quick look here at our last stand, and, well, Romalog took himself away in a corner. It was a tough map for Omi EU. Feel like they put up quite a bit of kills, but not getting the placement that they would have liked.
Yeah, I mean, here's that play I was talking about. You can see while this flurry of chaos is happening down below, it just allows them to move on over. Shifty gets this excellent pick onto FLS, and you got to imagine that was sort of the unraveling of Clavson and Co. They tried to stay alive, and this was a great fight, by the way. Nate Dogg going up against the French here. Tries to be able to find one. It's a little bit of like a third-party central. You got these 3 teams trying to battle on out. Nida tries to stay alive. King Chalk makes the trade, but it's ultimately the French at the end who comes in at the last final moment, cleans it on up to put them into second.
Yeah, what is interesting about that whole fight is that the Falcons looking over the top and then putting bullets into the French triggered that entire occasion. So it was them just trying to dwindle down the lobby, bleed it on out so that they could just take the 2x multiplier. And yeah, again, they put in the bullets from above and managed to set off everyone else squeezing into the same room to be cleaned on up. And once they see the amount of players in the lobby just dwindle down, they're aware that they're the only full 3 left in that fight. They can just push on up.
They can just do whatever they want. But hey, guess what? It's something we've kind of been waiting for all day. No surprise to see them take game number 3. Let's head on over to the stage so that way Miles can have an interview with the man himself, Biffle.
Thank you very much, boys. The prophecy fulfilled. Congrats on the big win. Points are still good. The standings have been all right. You finally got the win. How's the camp feeling?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're just trying to find our feeling still. Obviously on LAN, people are playing for $1 million, so it's definitely playing out a little slower compared to like the online tourneys and stuff. But yeah, we're still trying to find our footing. Obviously, we got that win with like 13 some kills. So yeah, I mean, we're just we're still trying to work it out.
Speaking of working it out, you don't have that many games to work it out. I mean, how do you do that in matches? You know, obviously one of the best players in the world, but what advice would you give to folks at home trying to find themselves in a similar position?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, our team, we're one of the best 3 trios in the game. So all the other teams, you know, they suck. So we're still trying to get it worked out. But yeah, I mean, it's honestly just taking it slow. Trying to breathe in between games. I know Soka's telling us to breathe, you know, keep calm and all that stuff. So yeah, honestly, keeping it calm and yeah.
Dude, Rowan, thanks very much for that. Any final words you want to say to the fans? You've obviously got a lot of folks in attendance, a lot of love for Team Falcons, what you guys are doing. What would you like to say to them?
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys for showing all the love. We hear you guys. Trust me. We hear you guys through the headsets. Keep it going. I love you guys.
Thanks, man. Good luck on the next one. Over to the desk.
All right, Miles, thank you for that. Bitful saying all the other teams suck. That's that confidence Falcons have, man. And I was saying at the top of the show, Repost, like Falcons, they all individually have the most confidence out of any esports player I've seen in quite some time. Talk to me about that confidence and their unwavering faith to consistently win.
Yeah, man, look, they are, without a shadow of a doubt, the 3 best players in their respective positions, right? So when you have that confidence and when you're winning 30 out of the last 34 tournaments, I don't know how you can't have confidence. So I don't know, man. Those guys just built Diffy.
Built Diffy indeed. That's a tremendous win. We go through our replays and we start seeing Falcons and how they really start setting themselves up for success. And Tiff, I actually was overhearing you. You were saying, like, look, zone number 6, Falcons are rotating in for free, and you literally called the game with 21 teams left.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that rotation in, I was like, they're winning from this position. They rotate in, they take that initial team down, which is XTH, which is from our APAC region. It's hilarious because, you know, Shifty yesterday on the pulse check was saying that XTH potentially wanted to contest them over at Pop-Off Tower. They're seated right next to each other, and I wouldn't be shocked if after that, Shifty was probably like, oh yeah, guy, like, what up? I told you I was coming for you. But the moment they take them down, there's only a few threats in the area, and it's Omid EU, right, that tries to lay siege to that building, recognizing the power of that position, because high ground is great, and like I said earlier, if you take it a bit too early, it can be risky. In that case, it was XTH. And Falcons, well, they're the boon of that. They talk about that double-digit eliminations, and here's where they take it. This is where XTH loses in. Omid EU, they try to go in from that bottom. We invest the Bunker Buster to try and throw a bit chaotic moments into it, but they just cannot get things done. The Falcons are one of the scariest, most consistent fighting teams, and if anyone can do it, it would be that Omid EU.
Talk about a little bit of revenge here. FLS down below getting taken out by the Falcons, right? That team's been dominating, though. They've really come back after a frustrating start. But a crazy another stat, that Zac team had a ton of kills. Also, that's the team that lands closest to the Falcons up at Pop-Off at that gas station, Hector.
Yeah, look, the biggest thing that these guys do that not a lot of teams do, we've been watching so many POVs, so many scrims. Falcons, they always play for the win condition. A place where they think the end zone is going to end. That one right there, that one gunfight, won them that game against FLS and them.
FLS been tearing it up, and actually they were a team that took down Falcons a little bit earlier in the day. This time around, though, like you said, the revenge comes through, and Falcons take their victory for the first time today, just short, right, in game number 1, number 2. They placed number 2, but they should be on top after that one. They're looking pretty incredible, and also another region in general that's looking pretty good is EMEA. I think they're exceeding all expectations.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this, the EMEA in general. Last year was a little bit fishy, I'm not going to lie, but this year, I know Enigma is going to be so happy to hear this. I think EMEA came to play this year, and they're actually significantly better than last year.
I think so. I mean, come on. They're tearing it up. Gosh, you heard them say it. I mean, got to be happy with the result.
No, absolutely. If you're an EMEA fan, you're loving what's happening right now. You've got several teams inside the top 5 likely, definitely a lot of teams inside the top 10. You've got some teams that, frankly, you didn't expect to perform fantastic up near the top 10 as well. We've been talking about FLS. They did the exact same thing they did in the regional finals. They started off horrible. First map completely chalked. Guess what they did in the regional finals? They were top 10 every single game after that, right? And now they're doing it again. They get 6th place in that one, barely missing out on some multipliers. Watch out for that FLS squad. They could squeak into the top 10 and walk away with a sizable amount of points for tomorrow.
And not to mention, Community has also been an incredible team.
Oh my God, finally. Look, leading up to all these tournaments, going into the World Series of Warzone, I have seen the Falcons fall, and it was towards this Team COD community. Back then, they were competing as USD on Rational, Scum, and Dongy, but talk about it this way. Not only that, they pick up Tommy to coach them for the Global LAN Finals, someone that has such a historic in the competitive Warzone scene. So adding that into the mix, we can already see the changes. I called them a slow burn in game number 2, and they usually pop off in games 3 and 4. We've started early in a 6-game series, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're still at the top of the leaderboard, because I think I saw Dongy with like 20 eliminations. He's at the top. He's got a gunny.
Hey, talk to me, Hector. I want to hear your perspective on this team, because these guys are slayers, but when it doesn't work, man, they're trash. And I think it's that win off the drop spot, right? That high-rise win has been setting them up for success.
For the last 2 to 3 months, or a month, they've been losing their drop spot against Stuo, Enxian, and Patsuka. Today, they're winning them all. That team, I'm telling you right now, they have the world record for the most kills in a custom game.
Yep.
They have the slay power, but they just need, sometimes they need a click. They need that team chem. But when they do, I've said this before, we've talked about it in the podcast, they can shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Has there been a team, though, that you've been watching that has underperformed for where you expected them to be after 3 games?
Oh, man, I ran down here as soon as that one ended, but I think Brett and them, I expected Brett and them to do a little bit better. I know that they said that when it came to the actual LAN, it was going to play a little bit slower, and it has, but I do think that that's a team that I expected to always be in the top 10 no matter what, top 15. I don't know where they're sitting at right now, but I know they died early the last couple games. So
yeah, and it's worth mentioning, too, we see Cloud9 change their drop spot for LAN, right? They actually land over by Old Town. They're running into likely FaZe first. They obviously ran into Destroy, and Destroy came out on top of that as well. You see Destroy in the final 5 there as well, also in the same area. So that Old Town, Low Town start has been pretty dang hot, and Cloud9's not getting paid for that.
Well, speaking of landing spots, let's actually look at a heat map of all the landing spots throughout the 3 games, and clearly there's a lot of hot spots there. Tip, walk me through these landing spots and what we've been seeing and what makes sense from this picture.
Yeah, as you can see, if you look down towards the southwestern side of things, that main building in Zaravan City, and even a little bit of Quadri Shopping Center, those are some of the areas where the large majority of our squads are landing. And as they rotate on out, the majority of the times we're going to be hitting kind of that C-Town, Old Town. So of course you're going to have a large majority of fights there, especially with our last circle in match number 3 ending in that area. So all of the action there, specifically when you think about the high ground, is like, just think of all the damage that you acquire through that, because it's like, dude, I could shoot for days towards the high ground and I'm just farming, and you gotta go through it.
Yeah, I mean, look, that place, I love that the end game last one was there.
Yes.
I called it literally second zone. I was like, this end zone is going to be here, and it's going to be crazy. That might have been, I could be wrong, the most players we've had in the end game in a while. So
you're right.
That was great to see.
Hey, Repulse, it's been great having you up here, picking your brain, man. And obviously, you got a lot of passion for the scene. I love your watch parties. You're going to continue to do them not only for today, but also for tomorrow, and then, well, for, I guess, all eternity at this point. We don't want to let you go, man. One might be retiring, but you better not, dude. Is there anything you want to say to the crowd before, well, you get out of here?
Yeah, to the crowd, thank you guys so much for being here. I know each and every one of y'all just know I love you guys, and the goal is just push the competitive scene forward. So every single one of y'all sitting here, just know you guys make a difference, and I love you, and the whole competitors love you.
Hey,
thank you, guys.
And we love you too, man. Thank you so much for coming up here. We really appreciate it. And for all of you out there, CT Red, they've been grinding. We heard the passion earlier today from Amir. Let's hear a little bit more.
I am here with Deus Amir from CT Red. My man, it is great to see you. I got a question for you, though. You gotta talk to me about the qualifiers for LATAM North. It was a crazy journey through that qualifiers. Talk me through those final moments that got you into this space here.
We had to go crazy to qual, and it was magic. It was total magic. I don't know, we've been in tough situations before. I'm very proud to say that in most of them we've been successful to come back from them, but yeah, I love my team.
A final question for me is mostly just about resiliency, your team, and what representing your region is like.
I keep competing because I love it. I'm really passionate about it. When I started playing Call of Duty, I was like 13, and I was just playing, like, trying to be like my heroes, Scum, P4 on them. So for me to be here today, like, about to play in a huge stage in front of a lot of people and representing my region, it's a dream come true. So
one of my favorite things about your team is consistency, but also your passion. Look, I'm gonna poke at the bear a little bit. I've got a chance to do some blind rankings with you, okay? So all you're gonna do is you're just gonna rank these players I name 1 through 5, and you don't know the rest of the players. So you just place them wherever you think, and we'll see how it goes.
All right.
This will be a clip for the timeline for sure. Somebody's gonna get mad about this. I'm gonna start with a fun one. We're gonna start with Sage. Ooh. You can place them 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5th in our blind ranking. You don't know the other players though.
I'll put him number 3.
Number 3, right in the middle. Okay, respectable. Sage, a good player, obviously. Okay, next up, Enkyo.
Ooh, I would say 2.
2, right above Sage.
Yeah.
Yeah, young player. I know, you know, they're on the other side of the map from you guys, but they will rotate over there, and you guys fight them a lot.
Very good.
Okay, FIFA Kill.
Ooh, my boy Fiv. I don't know. I guess this hasn't been his year, but I think he's a great player. I'll put him forward because this has not been like his best year competing, but I think he is like S tier. He just gotta put his shit together.
Next up is Deus Amir.
Ooh.
You got 1st or 5th?
All right, I'm putting myself 1st.
Okay, look, give me a shout about yourself. Why are you guys gonna win it all?
Yeah, I mean, we've been sticking together. We're really passionate, and I don't know. You'll see tomorrow. You'll see tomorrow.
Okay, final player. We know where they're going to go.
What?
Shifty.
Ooh, my bad, brother. I'll put you 5.
Shifty, the worst player on our list. That was blind rankings with Deus Amir. Shifty's not winning it. It's Deus Amir and CT Red. Deus Amir, thanks so much for coming in, man. I'm so excited to see you all perform tomorrow and the next day.
Thank you, brother.
Cheers.
Yo, give more spots to LATAM North.
You heard it here first, or probably not first. You've heard it a lot. I agree. Check out LATAM North.
Always great to hear from Amir there. CT Red, right? Still tearing it up today, trying to do their absolute best. And, well, we'll continue to see how they'll finish out. That's 3 games down. We are now at our halfway point. 3 more games to go to decide the opening points leading into match point, day number 2 tomorrow. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Dream Crazy Geo, and, of course, Danjo down there. Danjo, how did it feel to cast for the first time at the World Series of Warzone?
Felt good, man. Felt real good. I've been a lot of casting this year alongside my man Enigma. So
That's right.
Great to be here. Give some hype, of course, to Las Vegas here on day number 1. And most importantly, have a great game to be able to cast over. I know it did slow down a little bit, but I think it was fantastic to still watch everybody. I think finally take the game a little bit seriously, realize that you're bottom of the leaderboard and you got to do something different already.
Really? Oh, wait.
By the way,
there is $1 million on the line.
I think there is $1 million. I actually got a case of cash right here I'm going to show off. Again, can I keep that? I don't know, but that's where the $1 million sit. Hope nobody charges me for that. By the way, Falcons win their first game of the day when you cast. I just want to point that out. So
remember, okay, so no jinx though. Last year, I right after they won, I went up to Shifty, Biffle, and Sage and dapped them up. And at EWC, Shifty was like, yo, after I win, I want you right there.
Okay.
Because I want to be able to go look you. So maybe just a little bit of a premonition to what can happen here.
All right, well, from premonition, now going to the past, let's talk about how the first 3 games have unfolded. They've been absolutely blistering fast, and if you haven't been paying attention, well, you might not have been able to keep up. Game number 1, we started hot and heavy. We were expecting a bit of a slower start, but Dream, it was lightning fast. Nobody was slowing down. All gas, no brakes.
Yeah, indeed, all gas, no brakes. And I mean, a lot of aggression, but we almost saw, in fact, our team Falcons take a win, right? Shifty was left in that 1v2 situation, but it was B-Mark, essentially the underdogs that were able to take it here, revenge tour, and that was an impressive one.
It was B-Mark, J-Tech Slide. They take game number 1. I mean, we weren't expecting them to do so, but Danjo, they made it happen, and that was probably the biggest surprise of the day.
Yeah, it was the biggest surprise, but it does also tell the tale of the rest of the day because, yeah, you win game number 1. I love it. It does a lot for the players, but you win game number 1 with 7 eliminations, and they were in like 8th after that first kind of game. So it's like, yes, it's great. I love that, but you have to have those eliminations if you are going to be taking on games. It's still a great start to the day, though.
And Gio, game number 2, Omit EU. They come out, man, absolutely fried. They had the ego, but the ego paid off.
Yeah, I mean, is it too on the nose to say it was all guns blazing?
There you
I feel
go.
like that's
That's what it
very,
was.
very literal, right? But it's exactly what happened. And I actually want to touch on something that you just said, where you were like, you know, you win the first one with 7 limbs, and like you're still kind of coming out 8th after that. But that was something that we saw after drop number 2 as well, because we had teams like Team FIFA Kill and like Falcons who did really well in that first drop, and not so hot in the second, and then that's where they were placed after that. So still, even if you come out like really hot at the start, you've still got to keep that up, which obviously we saw in game number 3.
Yes, that's right. And game number 3, Team Falcons, they end up taking the victory.
Yeah, and one really quick shout I just wanted to say, Enkyo being that top slayer, even being that young gun player, land first time, that pressure, that's amazing. But Falcons, we talk about pressure. The one thing I was going to say, because obviously, you know, we were in the green room, I was like, look, if they win this game, I don't know, that momentum, they could just carry it further, because with Falcons, they just need time to figure out how everybody's playing, and you guys heard it. Biffle said, everyone kind of slowed down from game 1 and 2.
It seems like they did, and he also said, well, all the other teams suck. So he's got that confidence. I'm going to continue to say that because, hey, there's not a lot of players that can get away with saying that. He's one of those players that can say that and be like, okay, well, facts. All right, let's take a look at our standings and see who is at the top. Will Falcons take over first? They will not, but they will creep up to second place with 65 total points. COD Munity, Dandro, continue to hold on tight. 68.4 points. They have 42 eliminations. So even though they're not necessarily getting the placings, they're getting the elims, and they maintain first place.
No, this is what I love to see from this team. You want to be consistent. You want to play game over game. And like I said, I mean, the Falcons, yes, off of that win, you kind of come online. They jump up the leaderboard to second, but COD Immunity, we know what's capable with them. So now, even if they just stay neck and neck, that's really all I want. I just want somebody to try and basically give Falcons some trouble. Make it not easy for them just to be at the top of the leaderboard and take all this pressure off themselves. They actually have a little bit of pressure because even though, yes, you are in second with 65, not too far away. Omit EU, you're only 10 points behind.
And you know what? You just gotta get, okay, Don King, 20 eliminations, by the way. Insane.
Insane indeed. And it's a lot, and that's why they're up and where they currently are. I want to shout out Omit EU, Echo, and then we also have FIFA. Look, EMEA, and I asked Repulse this, and Gio, EMEA has truly been tearing it up today. They are without a doubt a constant conversation. You got to be happy with that result, and we could see an EMEA team win 40 points today going into day 2.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you just mentioned one of the teams that I was going to say I'm really going to be looking at, and that is Team Echo, because they've like been in those top 3 kind of situations in the drops that we've had so far, but they're kind of sat in 4th place right now. They've been playing really well, and they still just got to like pull through and have that first place finish, which I believe very strongly that they have in them.
I think they do, and another team that has just been great is FLS. They've been a consistent talking point. Now, granted, Falcons did get the best of them, Dandro, but FLS has also been another team that I don't know if you were expecting a lot from them, but they gave us a lot from today.
I wouldn't say I was expecting a lot from them, but I was really curious to see how they were going to do on land, leading up in a lot of the scrims and tournaments and things. They were kind of, nobody knew about them until the last like month, it felt like. And then it was in the last month, they really came online. They really started actually being one of these teams that could perform really well, off ping, mind you, might I add, in a lot of these scrims. So when that happens, you know, you're kind of always now having a little tuned into the radar of what this team can do. Now we're seeing them being able to take fights, being able to lose fights and then regain on a different side of the map and still have a fantastic game. It's these sort of movements that I look at for a lot of our teams to kind of say, okay, you have what it takes to be at the top, and it's just a little bit of refining for them to be able to get there and stay there.
And also, they got humbled really early, which is kind of a nice way of starting off because you can get it out of the way.
Hey, might as well get it off at the very start, right, Dream?
Oh, no, exactly. And, you know, the one thing I love about them, too, because obviously all 3 of them have land experience from last year. Coming into this, they had some uncomfortable moments, but the thing
And welcome back, everybody, to the World Series of Warzone Global Finals here in 2024, where we will crown our second ever Global Finals champions. Last year, we were in London. This year, we're in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. And I tell you what, this event has been pretty incredible, not only in the venue, but also because of the gameplay. We expected things to be nice and slow. Teams kind of filling it out, but everybody's getting a little bit mixy and dicey. And the reason why is because they understand what's at stake. They're not scared to throw their 2 cents into a fight and just really full send it. I like that. I do, because you have to be confident. You have to be willing to risk it all if you want to become a champion. Hey, I'm Taylor Reflection Snowball, joined by Dream Crazy Geo, and of course Enigma down there. Again, congratulations on your cast. It was great. He gassed you up over there, big man himself, and of course. Talking about Dandra, love him to death. Now, really, good job, man. And what'd you learn, right, from that game number 3? So many moments unfolded.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that's interesting there is that teams seem to slow down quite a bit in game 3. Game 1 and 2, I think everyone comes out the blocks to really firing things up. I think also the zones play into that in terms of where they're pulling off to. But as soon as that central zone opened up on the minimap, me and Dandra both looked at each other and was like, this is going to slow down a little bit. And that's because it's all a little bit more predictable for these teams. They know exactly how to play out a very central zone. They did exactly that. And also, I think you're starting to see a couple of these teams that have had slow starts just start to back on off a little bit, meaning that kills are going to be a bit more sparse on the board.
But see, that's not what needs to happen. Backing off when you're already down, in my opinion, is not the play.
Not mine neither, but it is a thing that happens to teams that suddenly lose confidence here on LAN.
Well, losing confidence is definitely, I think, the death spiral for a lot of rosters out there. You've got to maintain that confidence even when things are not going well. Let's take a look at our standings, recap you, and get you caught up to speed as we load up for game number 4. At the top is Community. We've gassed this roster up of Dongi and Rational and Scum in so many times at this point, 42 eliminations. Now imagine if they were getting top 5 each and every time. Who knows how high they would be, but the point is they are where they are because they are a stellar team. Team Falcons, though, Geo, they are tearing it up. Biffle, Ahsoka, and Shifty. This is their tournament to lose. Currently second place, 3 more games to go. How high can they go?
I mean, I think the sky's the limit for them. You know, it was a really exciting end to the last drop, and you know, when we had that winners interview at the end, we heard how excited the crowd were. They really are the favorites here in Las Vegas today, or this weekend, I should say. And you know, I just think we see such amazing play come from them. You know, maybe drop number 2 wasn't quite for them so much, but even back in the first one, like, we're so early in the weekend, man, and they just seem to be feeling themselves.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy too is like a lot of those contests we were just talking about, like team vitality, right, going down early, but a lot of these engagements, Dongi, he's winning his ones, he is slaying, he's looking a lot better from last year as we had those, you know, accusations, but either way for Dongi doing the job, getting the donking, getting it done. Can they continue on because they're picking up the eliminations, but they got to keep those placements.
Yeah, game number 3, Enigma Falcons, they just kind of waltz on in with 21 teams remaining. They get center zone for free, and this was the end result.
Yeah, as soon as they made that crossing from building onto top of bats, it was inevitable what was going to happen from there. And this is where it becomes a little bit terrifying. We've spoken a little bit about it. Myself and Dandra cast a tournament on Tuesday, and they got off to a slow start, which is kind of what we're seeing today. But then once they won one map, they won everything from there.
Dream, we take a look at their elimination heat map, and you can kind of tell the northern side of things and even central, right? That's where Falcons are heating up and getting the most elim.
Yeah, obviously, right? Of course, that pop-off area, but also military base on this side of the zone, as you see on the eastern side. A lot of those eliminations over there, but they literally rule the northern part of the map.
Absolutely. And Geo, when I'm looking at this map, if I'm a competitor thinking about tomorrow, match point, once Falcons get to that 150 threshold, I'm looking at that heat map and I'm thinking to myself, that's where I need to be to shut them down.
Yeah, well, 100%. I mean, some of them are going to be thinking that's where I don't want to be, but yeah, which is perfectly valid. But I think what's really interesting about it as well is when we think about where the final circles have been, most of that heat map wasn't in where those final circles were. So you know that they're getting a lot of their power and benefit and everything earlier on in the game. And it's like, okay, if we're going to shut these guys down, it has to be early.
Has to be early indeed. You can't let them get started because the confidence is there. You saw it in the interview with Biffle after the Game 3 win, and it's going to continue to gain traction from there. I can't wait till we get Hisoka actually up there for an interview because I know he's going to be bringing that heat, especially with his family in the venue. Hey, I love, by the way, Hisoka's family, like whenever they support him, we've been watching him for the longest time, and they always get involved. Having a strong family support system is incredibly important for you as an esports player. EMEA's been tearing it up. Falcons are obviously on top. We're going into in second place, but Community's on top. Now let's talk about game number 4. We've had a bit of a break, Enigma, right? A little bit of a break. Teams are able to settle down, refigure it out, gain that confidence back, which we said some teams have lost. Game number 4, what's the game plan? And what are the adjustments? Because you mentioned some teams might be backing off of slaying out when they need to actually be pushing forward.
I think one of the things that can happen when you step up on a stage like this is you get a little bit overwhelmed, especially if things don't go right. Nothing's comfortable here. The temperature might be different, your screen placing might be different. It sounds like small things, but they all make a massive difference when suddenly things aren't going well. You can spiral. And we've spoken about how a couple of these teams are emotional sides. So what you need is an opportunity for you to get into a back room, nice quiet moment. Boys, what's going wrong? And you need your IGL in particular to lead those comms and say, this is exactly how we make the adjustments going on through the rest of the afternoon. I am looking at a couple of these sides that are lingering towards the bottom half and thinking, you've really got to step it up here online. You haven't got much longer to go this afternoon, and we know how important that advantage is going to be for tomorrow.
Absolutely.
You know what I absolutely love about that point that you made is that we've spoken a little bit about Tommy being a coach, this time round. And
right.
Tommy is a veteran
Yes, he is.
of competitive Call of Duty. And that's the kind of person who's going to be able to come in and say, I have had this experience millions of times. I know what it's like to go and play in unfamiliar places. I know what it's like to have to get used to this. Going into that environment. And I think that is such a massive thing to have on your side coming into a tournament like this.
Let's actually talk about Omit too, because that's a great point that you bring up. Tommy, a veteran, lead him to victory, and Omit also exceeding expectations today as far as I'm concerned. We take a look at their heat map for eliminations and really get to see what's been going down on their side. And, well, this is a little bit different, right? It seems very centralized. Dream, we take a look at this map, and there's only literally 3 locations Omit's been going to slay out.
Yeah, quite literally 3 locations. And I mean, a lot of those eliminations, we're going to take a look at Enkyo, right? He has 16. He's the factor for their team that is really keeping together. You got to look at Heeds too, right? That player that is always going to keep the boys together. But collectively as a whole, Enkyo has double the amount of eliminations as his team.
Yeah, so this is exactly something I wanted to pick up on, by the way. Enkyo bringing in 16 at the minute, Grom picking up 8, Heed 7. It's not surprising to see the Wonder Boy suddenly pick up and lead the way with the kills, but typically Grom's a little bit closer. Heeds has always been that support player, so he's kind of a mixed bag when it comes to the slaying, although we've seen the kind of gun skill that boy possesses. But the thing is, I am just looking to Gromlock a little bit to just get him a bit more involved in those gunfights. We might well have a situation where it's just the damage figures are really high for Grom, but it's not necessarily the kills, so I'm not too concerned at the minute. But if this team are going to do the things that we're asking them to do and really contest the Falcons, I think that Gromlock is a true Rolls Royce of a player, and I fully expect him to be the kind of person to help lead them there.
You know what that heat map tells me?
What's that?
Teams need to force these guys to rotate. How many rotations did you see in that heat map?
That's right, none.
0.
Yeah.
So, okay, if them picking a spot and staying there is working so well for them, it's almost like rotations might be the way to find a weakness.
It might be. Force them out, right? If you're not, but it's a bit scary too, especially with Enkyo like slaying out as much as he has, Gromma like going as big as he has. By the way,
it's 100% easier said than done, but that's why I'm here and not that.
That's 100% right. Because we can talk about it, but we can't execute it because we're just not good enough at the game. I can't speak for Dream, of course, but
hey, listen, you guys got to stop piping me up. I haven't been playing as much. All right, I'm here. I'm a little washed.
I'm playing.
But hey, we're coming in hot next year. Don't you worry. I might start competing.
Hey, you heard it here first. You might start competing. I love that. I do. Let's take a look at our highlights from the first 3 maps, specifically the winning moments. I mean, it has been kind of a mixed bag for competitors and winners, I should say. Game number 1 was exciting, though. Again, B-Mark, JTech Slide taking the first victory. Dream. This was tremendous from this Revenge Tour. That is literally their name, and well, they started off hot, and that Revenge Tour seems to be true.
Yeah, this was actually an insane ending. But the B-Mark, you heard it. He said he listened to comms from his IGL. We had that rotation with the LTV, but how close was it for Shifty? He actually almost 1v2'd. He took down 1, and then B-Mark able to close out. That was just perfect, sublime from them, but holding that consistency, that's the hardest thing to do, but they did set the tone.
All right, game number 2, we watched Omit absolutely tear it up, and this is where we started getting excited, Gio, because it's like, wow, Omit, they're looking great, they're looking confident. The young gun in Enkyo is tearing it up.
Yeah, you bring a guy in who's never played on LAN, and he just tears it up like that, and it's like, you were just born for this, man.
That's right.
And I love it. I love it when that happens, because I feel like when you have that young blood come into a game and they're so good, they're just riled by the idea of playing in front of all these people and really showing up for themselves and their team, and you can see what happens when that's the case.
It's funny actually about Enkyo. A couple of days ago I tweeted out the stats about who's the top slayers in the EMEA. Obviously Enkyo leading the way. I had a friend who I've known for years, he's in the CDL space, and he messaged me going, nah, that guy's cheating, that guy's not, he's not good enough, not at all. Messaged me after map 2 saying, oh, I guess I'm wrong because he's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, putting up big figures out here.
At least they admitted they were calling him out.
Hey, it was nice of him to do so, but yeah, he's currently sitting second when it comes to the flagging rights. But in this map 2 in particular, I was a little bit worried that we're starting to see them still lose a player through the mid game. That's something that they've got to fix up.
In game number 3, we witnessed a wonderful finish. Actually, it was great to see Destroy and his team come onto the screen and perform as well as they did with the top 4 finish. Granted, they were finished off in 3rd, but then ultimately it was Team Falcons against Team Zach. Falcons had the high ground, Zach was down low, but we all know how it ended. Unfortunately for Zach, he gets ganged up on by all 3 of the Falcons members. They take him out, and it was Falcons who get the victory, ultimately putting them in 2nd place when it comes to the standings. The overall eliminations, you can see again those 3 hotspots. Funny enough, when we talk about Omid, it looks like those 3 hotspots is exactly where they've been slaying out. So Gio, I agree. Get them to rotate out, because if you can do that, Omid might be slowed down just a little bit. 3 more games to go for earning points for match point tomorrow. Who will end up in 1st place? Right now it's Community, followed by Falcons and on down the list. But with 3 more games, anything can happen. We've had a break, a little bit of a reset. Now it's time to get back to work, so let's do it. Let's head in. Fighter Tip Goj, take it away.
Thank you so much, Taylor Reflections Noble. Man, we are here. It is the second half of the day in Vegas, and I am so excited to be back in the booth with you, Tiff. Now, I gotta say, our top 3 teams, I did a Twitter poll, and I said, who are gonna be the top 5 at the end of the day 1? These 3 teams, Omid EU, Falcons, Community, everyone said these 3 teams. There was a couple other in the mix that are not here. Team Aiden in particular, who's a little bit outside of that. But these 3 teams, everybody expected to perform well, and they are.
Yeah, well, I love that you're already mentioning Team Aiden, right? It wouldn't be a LAN if they don't have a couple hurdles that they have to get through. And now that we've already gotten one of those out of the way, this is where we can start on kind of that vengeance, right? A second half of the series that needs to be ginormous to make sure you can secure as many of those advanced starting points. But one team that I just don't feel like is getting enough love is that Team Echo roster, right?
Yeah.
They are just outside the top 5, and they are doing something so magnificently well towards that beginning of the games to secure a lot of those eliminations that give them a chokehold on the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's a great shout, and I think actually the most recent update, I think they did jump all the way to 4th place, so talk about some slayers. We've got to take a look at this team, especially in this map. The second half of the day means we can see some new strategies. We had a big old break. These players are ready to rock and roll, and they may be changing up drop spots, so my eyes are going to high rise. Community has been winning it, and because of that, they're on top of the leaderboard, but the question is, where is their competition going to go? Our 4th map of the day, the beginning of the second half of day 1, folks, a lot on the line. Let's drop in to map number 4.
Thầy được chào của cô thư trợ đi cho người dân này.
What's up?
All right, hear me out, Vegas. If your team is not looking so hot right now, now is the time for them to stand up, show us why you deserve to be as many of those advanced starting points. Take advantage of everything that you can with the remaining 3 games. I want to see a massive win here, but when you see that lane line already slicing through the center of Urzikstan as our teams like Omid EU, #1 on the map, heading on over to Shaheen Manor. And when you've got a lot of unplayable space in this circle, I can only imagine that we're going back to the east.
Yeah, we are going far to the east, and as expected, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a wide open high rise. I can't imagine they're going to be contested, and a couple people floating and trying to stretch. And because we're able to hit high rise so fast, maybe could connect on some shots. But the question is, where is Vitality? I mean, when you go 3-0 on a drop spot, or 0-3 rather, if you're Vitality, you go somewhere else. So I don't know where they went, but this will provide a slower start for Community, which is frankly worse for them. They've been slaying out, winning that drop spot, and because of that, they're on top of the leaderboard. A fun conversation here is these two squads. They've had so much Twitter beef about this drop spot, and frankly, they're pretty much chalking each other's games. A great shot above. Neither of these teams can get anything going, probably because this fight takes so long over and over again.
Look, Reply Totem out here trying to do it to Panda. We dropped down, but unfortunately, we all three lind up in the gulag. The Battle of the Bazaar has been absolutely bloody.
I think that's 2-2, by the way. I think they both have come out of this on top. Maybe Panda with a slight advantage. Maybe it's 3-1. I'll have to look back at the VOD. I'm sure these teams will be looking back at VODs after this day as well, especially if you're this squad right here. Take a look at where they dropped. So still in City, but off of that high-rise location, looking to land a bit safer. I'm sure the call here was just, look, can we get our loadout? Once we get our loadout, let's go.
Witness them anytime they would go towards the northwestern sides, especially when we have Kotovo endgames. They are so powerful and scary in the endgame situations, and especially when you have teams that are looking to come out of that northern side. King AJ, Showstopper, Vision right here. When you've got a squad just below you, you want to look for those angles. You have a UAV, you'll be able to get some information, but we don't want to overextend out into the low ground just yet, unless we have that opening knock to kind of allow us to get in there.
Yeah, and I am looking at that Blast team. Again, Miles had a chance to talk to them after a frustrating last map, and they actually rotated out of military much more aggressively this time around. To phase we go, and frankly, not enough airtime for these folks, all right? It's good to see a former World Series Warzone champion on our screen right now, Sage, one of the best individual players out there. This team has had their ups and downs. They've had some great performances in the past, 6 overall in the regional finals, and then some really frustrating performances as well. And you've got a Vegas Inferno, I think, on the other side, looking for a bit of blood. And this fight is one that we always see in this area. And frankly, I think it's taking a bit too long for either side's liking. I think we're probably going to rotate out here shortly once Sage gets the feeling that, hey, this isn't maybe as free of a kill as I thought.
Well, what's happening here is we also just have Adrian, who just won the gulag, and is me flying in from the above, kind of that budget UAV to give him that information that maybe they're not able to get, especially when you have a trophy system in the back of your pocket. You've got that mortar, and you know that you're set up for a fight. You just want to make sure you play off those audio cues, even future, climbing up the ladder, deciding this isn't the way to push, but Sage is like, I know what it's like to take that aggression, and I am just going to completely outwork you. Take down one, take down another. Goodbye, Future and TJ.
Beautiful. Quick look at the map after a nice win there. Seemingly that's what's been happening all day. FaZe is doing okay, so let's see if they can come out of it a lot better for it this time around. But quick look at the map, as expected, again to the eastern side, and well, look at where Omit EU is already over there hanging out in Bazaar. That's that red 1, so watch out for that squad. A top 3 team right now. Again, Team Community, Falcons, Omit EU on top right now. And a quick look at Aiden's squad. Again, a team that's just barely lurking outside of now maybe into 5th place, but just outside of the top 5, looking at our leaderboard. They're right there. They're in the mix. The question is, how many people rotate to Superstore? The last couple maps, it's not been enough to put them at the top of the leaderboard.
It really hasn't, and honestly, Bubble CT, Louis CM, Wars, I would love to see some good games out of them starting here. And when you find yourself between 2 squads, especially noobs on the other side alongside Stevo and Patsuka, this is one of those things where you're out in the open. If you blow through all of your resources, such as smokes, you can get completely caught out.
Yeah, and we talked about it on the analyst desk. That
Oh my god, it is. Chăm tị ở kia. Sam rồi.
They do better, but as we swing back over to the middle of the map yet again, we're seeing a ton of action here, and I think that XMQ squad from the APAC just got full wipe, maybe have a chance in the gulag as Tap, Johnny Bros, Strixie trying to make a name for themselves in this competition, in trouble, getting shot in the back.
Yeah, this is what's going to be tough, right? Especially when Tap and Johnny, they kind of swamp around in, but Sage, we saw how aggressive they just were, and they want to keep that moving forward. Sage was actually fragging over the Team Falcons players in general, and when you think back to some of the content I've seen put out from the Call of Duty community, Sage was one of the very last players to be interviewed when talking about the solo YOLO. He's like, it's me, I'm him, I'm going to win. And now we're starting to warm things up just on day number 1 in this series. Before we get there, I'm so excited to see what Swag, Adrian, and Sage can bring to the table. Sage has already won once, he knows what it takes.
Yeah, he definitely knows what it takes. And that FaZe squad was doing okay, like I said before, pretty mediocre performance, nothing bad. Again, this is day 1, it's not all she wrote, but you could certainly earn some points. So we'll see if maybe they can jump into the top 10
after this map. They've got some nice momentum, but back to some of our top slaying teams, at least in our regional finals. This squad a hair quiet as well comparatively. We've got to remember that this squad was one of the highest fragging teams across all divisions across the board. A really strong squad who's had a fairly quiet day today, and I wonder if it's because military hasn't been quite as active as they expected it to be. I mean, that flank squad, that blast squad, has rotated out a little bit more aggressively than usual, at least heading further down south to get into the mix, try to change some things up so things are going their way as well. But again, a quick look at the circle here, Tiff, and again to the east. This is looking
mà esport mà esport mà
think about military base, like you were just mentioning, you do of course have a couple squads. You have Na'Vi, you have FaZe Black. They're still trying to get out from the north, and we see where the Falcons have rotated in nearby that bridge. When you think about other areas on the map and teams still trying to find good positions to claim for that end game, Huskers, Brawlic, Jackal, the squad that, you know, has been through a lot, and anytime you throw Brawlic in the mix as well, just one of the most consistent players to pick up. I have seen crazy things out of him since the days of CDLR.
Yeah, Dave Samir, CT Red right around the corner. Good call on FaZe Black, by the way. I thought they were going to hightail it down to Super. They actually turned back around and stayed in military, but to a fight we go with Dave Samir. And a lot of fans of Dave Samir on in our floor seating over here to my left. I hear him cheering a ton for Dave Samir. Had a great interview with him. And so far, a very quiet fight right now because you just don't want to make the first mistake. Z-Dark, their Slayer. But right now, slaying nothing but time. This is a quagmire of a fight that's going to take a while because right now you can't give away a good position in Village.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about what they've done. You know, you've got Huskers team that's kind of trying to bait, right? They have that portable buy station. They've thrown down the bouncing Bettys. We're trying to lay a trap, so if that push does occur, they'll be ready.
Well, the Falcons on our screen. We're going to head down to Miles with Vegas Inferno, unfortunately dropping first.
Thanks very much, guys. First and foremost, brother, get the business out of the way. That's for you.
Oh my god. Holy shit.
We're just looking to break things down. We got to make it simpler, get a loadout, and start making it to late game. Right now, we're testing different drop spots and trying to get really dialed for tomorrow for match point. I think now's the time to get stuff out of the way.
I like some of that feature. Anything you've noticed so far in these games that you know maybe game plan has gone one way, but everything in the match is going the other?
I mean, we're just trying to figure shit out and take it from there. There's nothing, I don't know, we just gotta lock it in.
Time to lock it in, well, man, wish you the best of luck. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Miles. Screamo, it's all happening. Future, brutal. I hate it for you, but on screen right now, the Falcons in trouble, or maybe NA in trouble. Talk about a storyline for the ages. A lot of back and forth between those two teams, with the Falcons able to wipe Omid NA. I think they have a gulag, but to more action we go as per the usual. We love to see Dongi slay out. This is exactly what we expect from this squad. Hunting the edge of zone tip. This is two different stories of the same Warzone game. You have the community team continuing to find kill after kill after kill on the edge of zone. High risk equals reward, at least this time around.
Look, I am loving what I'm seeing out of COD-Munity, but the Falcons have been getting on that aggressive nature. You see the overall standings. COD-Munity came into match number 4 above the Falcons, and as it stands, Team Falcons are starting to answer back. But this rotation in from COD-Munity through the south, straight into their next threat. You jump back on over to that FaZe roster. Sage on 4, Adrian on 5. Team Super Evan just in the lines of their side. The Sage, though, playing this really smart, trying to get across the road, and maybe we invest streaks, maybe we just send Adrian in from the above like a SEAL Team 6.
Oh, this is going to be one that they talk about later when they're out to dinner together. This is the Super Evan squad getting wiped by Swag's team, likely. We'll see it. There it is in the kill feed by Super Evan. And I don't even know if he was in it. Oh, wait, Super Evan's by himself somewhere, maybe into the gulag already against Blast. Even still, team not fully eliminated technically, but the rest of your team, Super Evan, the Wolf, you got to be a lone wolf on the map apparently somewhere and try to regain it. I wish you good luck, my friends. It's going to be very difficult with 64 players still on this map. And further east we go, and a little bit more northern, heading out of Bazaar and up to the new zone. It does look like that FLS squad is still alive. We're going to take a look at this gulag too, because we'll see as Evan gets wiped, by the way. This is a must-win gulag. If you want to keep your life on this map, will you beat King AJ? We got 1 HP in a dream. Who's going to win it? It's going to be Otterize. A couple missed shots, and then the execution. Somehow, some way, that Team Super Evan is still in this map. barely, as we take a look to our left-hand corner of our screen, Omit NA. That is a full wipe on them from what I understand. I believe they are out of this lobby.
Heartbreaking, a squad that can perform to the highest of standards, but I just haven't seen it yet. And I know that we do have more games for them. But for that team COD community, they're still rotating in. We just passed Bazaar. We're working our way into farms where, if you think about a rotation, we are actually mirroring that Vitality and the Omit EU squad. And the cost of being so far out into the open and neighboring that out of bounds line is kind of scary because one person just needs to lay wind of you and they will be absolutely able to decimate you.
Yeah, this is such a fun fight we're about to see potentially. Could see a third party here, Omit EU. We know their game. They get to in-game and then find the kills. Now, they're finding them. Everyone wants to come to this direction and they go, there's nobody here. We're free. There's nobody behind us in this pipe. Sorry. Aikyo, one of the top fraggers today, finding 5, almost 6 in that one with one of the best spots in farms right now. If it pulls to the south side where they are right now, this will be a win for Omit EU. There's still a lot of ground to make up, and you've got to check your flank. A lot of teams are going to want this spot, but with the signal flare in the sky that they are there, it's going to be a lot more difficult to take.
Yeah, look, their ability to predict where this is going. You know they spent a lot of time VOD reviewing and trying to relay that information and grab all of that, but Sage is hyper-aggressive. We don't get fooled here, and we preemptively start that self-res and get the tap so we can preserve that. And I love what I'm seeing out of them, but keep an eye on squad number 23. They decided to kind of poke just at them, but we start going back up north. Little Mario has to fight someone else, and I couldn't be remiss to say that this squad is going to get involved in this, or we focus on our rotation to get around all of this.
A Little Mario getting into the mix, got through in the LCQs. Picked up Leonard for the LCQs, and Leonard goes, man, I gotta like ask for time off from my day job, and then makes it here to LAN. Excited to see this team maybe put up some better scores the rest of the day, try to earn some points for tomorrow. You've got FaZe on the other side, and they are hot right now, and unfortunately for you, I would not want to go up against a hot FaZe team. Yes, they are hot and cold, but when they are hot, this team is dominant. Watch out for Adrian, Sage, and Swag already on pushing probably 15 plus kills. I think just Sage and Adrian together have 13. If Swag has any, this is a fantastic game for FaZe, and it's what they needed to get right back into the mix in top 10.
Exactly, and when you're sitting with a 1.4x multiplier and this many eliminations already, and you say, I want the rotation before I want those eliminations, but look who is back, right? Huskers, after taking a lot of damage from that Omit EU roster, is trying to put the pain down onto Sage, burning alive, dancing around, ultimate fall. Adrian's health really low. We need the self-res to come through, and we need a clutch by Swag.
Swag's always good for a clutch, at least won a tournament, and right now in trouble from multiple angles, and it's not enough. I believe FaZe is out of this lobby with a good game, not the great game they needed. Likely still right probably outside of top 10, but close enough. Huskers out of here. We see COD Community fully wiped as well. Unrational gone. This is going to open up the door of opportunity from EU, maybe Team Echo, Team Aiden, if they're still in it, to potentially make some moves past Team COD Community. But look who's on win condition already. Falcons have made the rotation. They love this out-of-bounds line. We've seen them here before. They got second last time in nearly this identical position. Let's see if they can win it this time.
A second, then they go on to win a map, and now we're sitting in the 4th game, and it's going to be really interesting to see. Yes, we looked at the north, but we have to turn our attention towards the south. This is the difference of not taking that ultimate contest at the beginning, right? And look, they've made it to endgame. Their biggest threat is that Omit EU roster that's just ahead of them, and not even that on the other side.
Yeah, this is 3rd versus 4th versus wherever this team is, and apparently changing the drop spot. A decent amount of kills, but not enough to really bring home back. We need to pick up this Echo team in transition. You can open up the leaderboard even more. You've got a great spot for it. It's not a whole because of pass, but they're on out of bounds line. They can't go any further back, at least not that direction. This transition to Omit EU, and they see an opportunity. Getting into the mix, trying to find infringement. Taking down this squad, now Noobs last alive.
ឥឡូវសតតែសមាជិកម្នាក់ទេបាទហើយសមាជិកនេះកើតមានលុយទៀត
So good right now for Noobs, the super sub here, last alive for that roster, but keep an eye out on that western side of the circle. Still 2 teams from that side. Nano currently
អូខេឥឡូវធីមលេខ21បានតែការដកទៅខាងអវ៉ាត់ហើយនៅសល់តែធីមលេខ1ទេហើយមួយលេខ14ហើយលេខ14គឺសល់តែម្នាក់ឯងបាទជាមួយលេខ
just saw Navi get eliminated, by the way, off screen. They got 9th place overall. Noob's going to try to play spoiler to the Omit EU team, trying to get a victory. A 1v3, this is not going to go well. He needs needs to pick up at least one in transition.
Yeah.
The rest of this leaderboard, we've got to make sure OMIDEU
Oh my
doesn't
god.
win this, or they're going to start jumping up this leaderboard and be hard to catch for the rest of these teams.
Yeah.
Noobs, he's good at playing his life. It's not good
Oh,
enough, though. OMIDEU on top, at least for now, made it into the top 6. Top 5 is our next multiplier. This is going to be a big one for the rest of these teams. As we see a CT Red get eliminated in 6.
Nhóm chỉ không đặt thêm mã qua có không bị mùi trong bộ sai nhóm ban giấy cái uống hà thêm bỏ họ liền mùi hai này xem đây thế ở đây dương trong mưa đó nếu chúng muốn thêm bỏ họ liền mùi ok ở đây cho đồng đó mà chúng muốn thêm ở xích bành cho đồng đó mà dạ
Did we see the heat maps? They get the kills in the end game over and over and over again. Top 5 and in trouble if we smoke and run, and apparently Haybale.
Bác này chúng muốn thêm boss fight còn gì cái đó nhọc lại cho mối pin nhau hết cùng có bay trong mưa sân dạ đội chúng mình được vơi máu dạ đại giỏi bu nó môi trong đó ô con gì mình gặp một chỗ này tế mình tế bành thì ngày sân này dạ cục một muối đập lại sân cục smoke với đập lại sân cô smoke tiết dạ gạt tính có gì trong nó cục tiết tất cả đội thì sai tí vào của trái ở miền ca bắc như là khăn lơm đấy dạ chứ các bạn này có gì dạ đại bưng ngọt có gì
3v3v3. What a way to go out here from map number 4.
Mùi sân có gì trong đó mà ba đây tới bà chúng mình tạo viên đằng đá
The question is who makes the first move and who makes the first
dạ các bọc trồi bọc trồi à đã bây giờ nó anh tung như đây thế dạ cục một đúng cục đi rồi cái nhục lên sân kê cắt một tiện dân mà bạn làm thế
Now at 2v2v3, the Falcons on high ground. The Falcons likely winning this one. The question is how many kills they pick up in this final fight.
Dạ đã phải xin sân mau tiết dạ banh vô đồng đó anh nông ra thế cục việc còn gì trong đó cục một trùng chứ ta thêm không chứ hai cái bay lót cho chúng mình thêm point từ chơi ban thế còn gì dạ bay toàn thế và ở đây thêm không cho cái bay lót trùng đông tinh thấy dạ thì cả đào mẹp ấy dạ thì cả cục nên cuối còn gì trong đó mà chúng mình thêm point từ chơi nhé đại do trong đó mà còn gì trong đó mà so té nice one cục mũi bụp sụp bụp oh my god Team năng xe thì thôi và mán cao cô chưa team năng xe đâu ta cao một con tam vô dần muốn được xe lấy xe cho mà thì
second place, and then, you know, a 10-point game. I'd say they're doing pretty damn well. Let's hear it for Soka and the boys with the Falcons.
Wow. What a finish from the Falcons yet again. That one, a lot of points, and frankly, I think they wanted that one bad. After losing to Team Revenge at the very beginning, a team that we expected to maybe not do much, Shifty was like, no, we gotta run that one back. Got the circle for it, and you can see the celebration and probably some smack talk. He didn't need to shoot bodies. He can stand up and point at them around these parts in Vegas. Very well done from the Falcons yet again to secure the win. This time it helped. They had player advantage. They were able to execute a nearly identical circle, by the way, to map 1, just a hair more south with less cover and no LTVs this time. Yeah, we take those.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's the difference maker, right? It was a second place in a similar end game, and now we convert the wins. That shows us that we are able to correct those minor mistakes. And that sounds crazy that I'm saying minor mistakes about a second place, because a 1.8x multiplier is so good. But a lot of the storylines that we were talking about coming into the World Series of Warzone, especially day 1, it's those advanced starting points. Yeah. And everyone was like, what do we do if the Falcons do get those 40 points at the top? So let's go ahead and run that last stand, and we'll kind of keep chatting on that.
We have a problem is what happens. That's a problem on our hands. Look at this high ground position, even this early out on the out of bounds line. This is where the Falcons thrive. We've seen this time and time again over the last 30 tournaments that they've won. When the map gets wonky, when the circle's cut off, the Falcons thrive, because when people have to think on their feet, they're not able to think fast enough to keep up with the Falcons. I will tip my hat, though, to this OMIDEU squad. They had resources in the end to make this one close. and make it to top 5. Without the resources in this moment, Tiff, they would have been in dire straits very quickly. A great rotation, able to keep all of their bodies up as well. Pick up a couple kills in the end game. Another solid map from Omid EU. They are living up to the hype.
Yeah, but when the Falcons, they get all that space, they preemptively throw that trophy system down and just start roaming. And Omid EU kind of gets sandwiched behind these hay bales over here. Yes, you start that PDS play, you try to prolong it and try to get as many eliminations with 1.8 as possible. But Nano was constantly that thorn in their side, putting all of the damage onto them and kind of throwing that rotation for them, which is exactly what they needed to do. But it also allowed the Falcons to just fly on out, spread, and look for those angles. And if we are ripping Grom off the headies throughout this, that's nasty.
Shifty, Inkyo get traded out, so it was a 2v2, and when you're in the gas with losing out on resources and the Falcons get the zone pull, yeah, no chance you're losing that one if you're the Falcons. Very well done yet again, of course, to go back-to-back. Yes, we took a little bit of a break, but they did go back-to-back, and you can see all the fans of the Falcons, Hisoka's family. I love a chance to meet those guys. They're always hyped for Hisoka, and well earned, by the way. That team, the Falcons, that are on top by a lot, they've won $300,000 on this map alone. Yeah, talk about a good, a good last couple months for the Falcons boys. I know they're excited.
I'm excited for them, and you just think about the history that Soka has been through on his journey in competitive Warzone. How many times have we seen his family show up in the back of his stream, celebrating, hyping him up? That's an environment that just breeds success.
Yeah, and we already got a chance to talk to Biffle. I'm sure we'll be talking to one more member of the Falcons, and who knows, you know, the way things go around these parts, we could talk to the third member later.
Can we talk about this real quick? Look at this. Nah, that's nasty.
I told you, they've earned some money. That chain is nice. We're gonna head down to the stage with Miles and Shifty to talk to the second half of the Falcons.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Yeah, Shifty, look, back to back. It's starting to feel good. How are you guys feeling?
Now we're starting to get going, man, and these guys are fucking horrible. I mean, yeah, these guys, we get to land and they forget how to fucking play. So, you know, we're dealing with a little bit of PC issues, but now we're kicking, we're alive, and it's about to be a fucking bloodbath.
That's 3 on the count, folks, but we're almost getting, you know, slowly but surely getting ready to get in the next one. I mean, obviously, you didn't start things off too bad. Second place, the points are still looking good. I mean, it feels like a few minutes ago I spoke to Biffle. Is there anything you're looking forward in the next game? Anything you're looking out for?
No, I mean, we're just going to play our game. You know, next game you guys will be talking to Soka because we're going to win again. You know, we want to finish off today strong. We started a little slow, like D was saying. I just told him, let's get our pacing right. I said we're going to come out from the halftime and win another game. So let's just fucking win these next 2. I mean, Falcons on top. Everybody knows we're the team to beat, and these guys are fucking horrible.
I don't know if I can add too much more to that. All right, good luck, man. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. It's back to the decks before we get in trouble.
Yeah, before we get in trouble. It's getting a little wild up there. Falcons are heating up. They've won 2 out of the 4 games. Mind you, game number 1, they got second place. So they could have won 3 out of the 4, but game number 2, we'll just let that go. I think that was like top 20. But they came back with a vengeance, and they are looking incredible. Falcons truly living up to their namesake. Again, this is their tournament to lose. This is day number 1. The worst case scenario for the competitors is for them to go into match point tomorrow with a 40-point lead, because that puts them 110 points away, which they can reach in just a couple of games. So this is starting to get scary. Let's look at our highlights from game number 4, and man, was it a great game. Dream starting off. Falcons, though, even though they get the game win, they nearly did.
Yeah, you know, I stepped away for a second, had to use a little body, came back, and I will tell you this. We came back, and I was surprised to see Omid, and it was Juju taking down Hisoka. And I screamed, like, both you see, I think, of Shifty as well, but Biffle, he got the cleanup kills, and he was able to save the day for them to secure that win. That was looking pretty scary there for a second.
Looking scary, but they managed to come back, and that's the resiliency that they have, that every team should definitely aspire to get. Omid EU, though, continues to tear it up. Enigma, I cannot believe how well they're doing.
Yeah, talking about resiliency, there was a couple of moments throughout that rotation that I was a little bit concerned. One of their weaknesses so far through the World Series has been losing a player before you get towards the end game and then you're outnumbered. However, here they do a fantastic job of staying alive when they're pressured by noobs, Patsuka and Steve-O. And in particular, Enkyo does an amazing job. He gets caught on the cross, takes a lot of damage, but the Resolute keeps him alive. He gets the support in from the teammates, and then they counter that play and open up that southern side of the circle to let them in. They do a great job then of using the utility that they possessed to keep that fight going as long as possible.
We talk about NA. We talk about EU. Gia, let's talk about Latin America. BD Binza, Eric Nano, and Tabakudo going absolutely nutty, buddy. Third place, Latin American representation.
Yeah, no, I think this is pretty insane. We spoke about on the last desk which teams need to do better, blah, blah, blah. Here are the big guns from NA, here are the big guns from EMEA. But the last 3 teams of this drop were all from different regions. And we have that second team from LATAM South showing exactly that they can go up against these massive titans that we talk about, like Falcons, like Omit EU. And that's insane. That's something that we really can't overlook. And, you know, they were coming into this drop sitting at 16, so it's kind of like comfortable. You can go up, you can go down, but just a phenomenal finish from them. And it's really interesting as well because a lot of our top teams, we see they have like one really prominent fragger, whereas on this team we actually have quite a lot of consistency. The 2 top fraggers on the team were both sitting at the same number of kills coming into this drop, so it's just really impressive from them. And when you're from one of the quote-unquote smaller regions and you're going up against these 2 teams,
that's right, yeah,
in
exactly.
the final circle, is nuts.
It is nuts, and it's such a heavy burden, isn't it, right? To be Latin American South, everybody's talking about EU, everybody's talking about NA, but man, LATAM teams, they're still in there. BD Binza, shout out to them. Like I said, third place, we'll see how far they can continue to go.
Yeah, and you know, for them only having 2 spots, it's amazing, of course, to be here, but I do agree, of course, with what Amir said. They need more spots. It's really awesome to see just new talent coming in every single year. That's exactly what the World Series of Warzone provides.
Man, so what? Biffle last game. All the other teams suck, right? So okay, I just want to make sure. And then Shifty, and I quote, they are terrible. Hey, gotta maintain my job. He can say what he wants. I really can't up here, but they are terrible. Again, just letting the competition know what they're about. But even though he says that as a competitor, let me kind of taper that off just a little bit. The teams really are doing very well to challenge that of Team Falcons. Again, I go back to Omit EU, who've just been absolutely stellar. Inkyo has just been out of this world, owning the moment on his first ever LAN events. Gromalok's been there. Heeds as well. I have been absolutely blown away by their performance, and now I finally question, because I was like, Fnatic is the team going into global finals to challenge that of Falcons. Obviously Fnatic's not here now, okay? They are in certain portions and pieces, but they're not represented as Fnatic as a trio. Now you have Omit EU, and that excites me. I'm like, this might be the trio to maybe dethrone the Falcons, right? To maybe challenge them and knock them off their pedestal. May not happen today, but tomorrow I'm going to be on the lookout for them. Let's look at our heat map for game number 4. Let's see if things shifted around Enigma. There is a lot of action all around the map.
There is, and it's interesting to think about where we end up with the end zone off towards the east there. I'm not surprised to see so much heat through the middle of the map, because those teams that play out through the west are having to make the crossing, and then you end up just getting picked up through. However, I'm surprised to see there's actually a bit more red off towards the west side than the east. I mean, particularly when you're talking about the Seaport Bridge region, or maybe even towards that northwestern side of the city. Looks like there's quite a bit of action there. So whether or not that's just teams being picked up on rotation, or a lot of those landing on POIs, fights going back and forth, I think that is definitely an interesting look at a zone that was, quite frankly, on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, I was curious too, because that's exactly what that says, right? A lot of these teams are like, okay, we're on the bottom half of the leaderboards. We want to catch up a little bit. Let's just go ahead and go for those early game engagements. And that's obviously, as you can see, where a lot of those fights are happening. So picking up those early eliminations, and then, of course, being able to get the placement. So those rotations towards the east side of the map, that's where it's going to be.
I kind of love that though, because I love seeing the teams are getting a little bit more active rather than more passive. You don't want to see teams starting to shy away from those sorts of engagements, and especially when you do have a circle that's going off to one side of the map, you are going to face things like, you know, more rotations and stuff, because there will be teams who have gambled on the other side of the map, or they have their preferred landing spots which are on the other side of the map.
Sure.
So you're going to end up with a lot of rotations, and it's like, yeah, if you've got to face them, then shoot them up.
And let's not forget, we had a long break, right, from game 3 to game 4. A lot of time to kind of rethink the strategies, and that dropped, right? That heat map showed us, well, teams were willing to go outside of their comfort zone because they need to make some changes, especially if they're outside the top 10 list. Hey, 4 games down, 2 more to go to determine how the points are going to look going into tomorrow's match point. To leave you off, we got Season 6 coming. Let's see what's in store for us.
The entire team's gone dark. may still be survivors. Let's move.
Come camera up.
Frosty.
Movement.
Rocket, come in.
Enemy movement.
Also spotted. Does anyone have eyes on it? Report. Everyone fall back! Repeat, fall back! Does anyone read me?
Oh, Season 6 looking good, and so is our standings and competitors. Like I said, 4 games down, 2 more to go till we decide, or at least until we know our points going into tomorrow. Falcons take a pretty considerable lead, I believe. I forget if we looked at standings, actually, and I don't know if we did. But if we did, and I'm excited to see how much of a lead they took after winning 2 out of 4 games, back-to-back games, and doing it in scintillating, sensational fashion. All right, I stole that from Colin Crow Clark. He's a wonderful caster. Shout out to him. Okay, hey, it's exciting. 2 more games to go. It's time to get to work, Gio. With 2 games remaining, if you want to earn your points going into tomorrow, you don't have that many more chances.
No, you have to kill.
It's just straight up.
Great analysis, Gio.
I'm not going against her.
Honestly, I think that today, if you are one of the teams that's struggling, you're getting a free pass, basically. Yes, it is important that you pick up the 40-point advantage for tomorrow, but I think if you're one of those squads that's struggling, you've come into LAN, you weren't aware maybe of where other teams were landing on you in various POIs and stuff like that, you've now got the opportunity to go away and make those adjustments ahead of tomorrow.
Sure.
Invaluable for several of these squads, because we have seen a couple of teams underperform a little bit, and you can then regroup, get back on, go, look, it was one bad day, we've all been there, we've all had an off day, but we can go into tomorrow with some heat and with some fixes.
That's right, heat and fixes. And I want to talk about, again, 2 Titans. You got Falcons, who should be in first place, Omit EU, who's challenging them.